Woo! Hi, this is weird. This is weird. Good morning. It is a Monday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. I'm not here again, but it's different than the last time I wasn't here. The last time I wasn't here, I was like really not here. This time, I'm here. I'm just here through the magic of the internet. As if you're with us on Facebook or YouTube, you can see me there. Hi, I'm here. But here is the attic at my house. Griffin's in studio. Griffin's kids did not manage to lose his keys somehow over the last 24 hours that I know of. So Griffin made it to work just fine today. But your pal? Nope. I am stuck upstairs at my house. Okay. I will, yeah, go ahead.
It's a good little studio you got there. I like it. I think
it's in no ways is it a studio whatsoever. I give you a tour, but it's a disaster up here. Like, it is. There is something weird
I think you're
going
gonna have
on.
to. I think you are gonna have to at some points.
Dude, if like this would make people judge Mrs. Clark, and I don't want to do that.
All right.
I don't want to do that. Right. There's such a weird, this was supposed to be my office, and it's got like my exercise equipment up here. Like I got my stationary bike, my ellipticals up here. I've got my old man reclining chair that I did Project Game Day from last night, which I love to death. Like that's where I want to live for the rest of my life, is in my old man reclining chair. But it's also got like the kids' old toys from when they were like 3 for some reason. We just haven't gotten rid of them. There's still, all right, here we go. There's still an entire, I don't know if you see it over there. There's still an entire, like,
is that a
kitchen set. Yeah, my children are 8 and 6. Like, they're not using the fake kitchen set any longer, but for some reason it's still sitting up here. There's, like, DVDs. When was the last time
we
watched a DVD? There's like 100 of them on a rack elsewhere. All of my bobbleheads are up here, but the boys have broken all of them. And the joke's on them, because that means that they won't be worth anything to them at an older age, or maybe they could have gotten some money for them. So, ha-ha, jerks. You're going to feel stupid when you're 35. It's a weird place to be. So, hi, yeah, it's Glenn Clark Radio. Kinda. I am Glenn. He is Griffin. I'm not here, but I'm here. The long and short of it, it's really not that complicated. I don't know where my keys are. Now you say, huh,
you live
how
on a
would
horse
that
farm.
happen?
Couldn't you just ride a horse in or something?
I did consider that. I probably would be arriving somewhere around 11:15. So no, that's not an option. This happened once. I'm trying to think what year, because it was pre-pandemic, if I remember correctly. It was definitely while we were still in the Meadow Mill building. This happened once before, but back then, when something like this would occur, the option was that my wife could just give me a ride over to the light rail, and then I could take the light rail down because the old studio was located right off the light rail. It was no problem. Today, we had 2 things working against us. The first was I didn't recognize that my keys were missing until I went to leave and went to the place where I keep my keys and said, huh, that's weird. No keys there. And that was at about 9:05 or so, because Griffin needed me in today by 9:40. So I spent the next, and Mrs. Clark was here, I spent the next 10 to 15 minutes frantically searching for the keys, to the point where even if Mrs. Clark had driven me into the studio, I would have been late for the thing that Griffin needed me for at 9:40. So at some point during this frantic rush, I had to decide, well, I guess I'm just going to do the show from home today, which I get is not perfect. It does not sound as good. I would prefer, this is not something that I have any interest in doing more frequently. I guess, you know, as I get older, maybe there will be a day where I'll reconsider this and we can build a studio or something like that. But right now, this is the backup plan to the backup plan to back up the backup plan, as our friend, the legendary Big Boy, might say. So I'm going to answer. Griffin, you probably have some questions. I tell you what, I want you to treat this like a press conference, okay? You be Jerry Coleman. Can you do a Jerry Coleman? Do you have a Jerry Coleman voice in you?
I don't think so. No, that's not good. That's not good.
I mean, you're trying, and I respect that, right? I realized once upon a time that my Jerry Coleman was also my Bert from Sesame Street. right? Like, um, I'm Jerry Coleman. Oh, Ernie. Like, I realized I was just doing the same voice because I used to have to read all those Sesame Street books to my kids, and I had a legendary Bert voice, and I just used the same voice for Jerry Coleman. But I would like you to channel your best inner Jerry Coleman, and I want you to grill me all of the questions that you think need to be asked about this situation. Because some of them have already been asked on social media when I shared that I wasn't going to be in studio today, and they were relevant questions. So I want you to attempt to grill me. We're going to have a little bit of a press conference, sort of the way that everybody had to grill John Harbaugh about why in the F he wouldn't challenge obvious spot. He loves challenging spot plays that will never be overturned. Why in all hell would you not challenge spot plays that were obviously going to be overturned? All right, so you take on the role. You be Jerry Coleman, all right?
Well, Glenn Clark, you think this is acceptable? That's not a great Jerry Coleman at all.
Okay, that's not where I would have started. I would have started with more factual questions and then got to it. Why don't you start with some more fact-based, how did this happen types of questions, is I think where we should start with this. Oh, I don't know what's playing there. And then we'll get to that question.
Okay. Who is at blame for this?
Okay, that's close. So here's what I believe occurred, and I don't even know this. There is one place in my bedroom where I keep my keys, right? Yesterday, in the morning, we went over to the Festival of Trees at the fairground. Lovely little event, by the way. I am Mr. Christmas. I'm like the king of Christmas around here. I had never been to the Festival of Trees. But we went with a couple that we are friends with, and that their son goes to school with my older son. We all went to the Festival of Trees yesterday in the morning. I departed a little bit earlier than everyone else because I wanted to go home and watch football. It's Sunday. We only get so many of those where we don't have to deal with the Ravens. I wanted the joy of watching some who can pass on the opportunity to watch Kenny Pickett and Jake Browning go toe-to-toe? How do you miss that type of opportunity? So I departed a little bit earlier. I got home. Clearly, I needed my keys in the car. Clearly, I needed my keys to open the front door. So the keys definitely made it home. They're somewhere at home. So I get home, and I realized that I had done laundry, and I could put my laundry away. And I could both watch the game and put my laundry away. When the kids got home, they decided to come crash in my room. And they wanted to watch the football game, and they wanted to have a professional wrestling match in my room. So it is my understanding, my belief, that where I keep my keys, which is right next to the bed. Oh, my wife is departing. Love you. I'm guessing this means you didn't find my keys today. She suggests she has ripped apart the entire house. We have far bigger problems. We have way bigger problems.
Hi, Mrs. Clark.
As she is, Griffin says hello. There you go. There's Mrs. Clark in the background, recognizing that she also doesn't know where my keys are. So things are going really well over here. We could have much bigger problems. My belief is that at some point while we were playing, because we never play in my room, that at some point while we were playing, my younger son, most likely, decided that he was going to play with my keys. I think that because he has done this before. And what he did with them from there, Lord knows. I did not need my car the rest of the day because obviously I was at home doing Project Game Day last night. By the way, Project Game Day, if you missed it, you can find it at facebook.com/PressBoxSports, youtube.com/PressBoxOnline. We do it every game day this season. Myself, Rita, Femi, KZ was with us. Josh Charles was with us last night. Had a great crew for Project Game Day. It's all brought to you by Superbook Sports, AJ Michaels, and HelpMyGamblingProblem.org. Find out more, PressBoxOnline.com/game day. We'll see you in 2 weeks for the next Project Game Day. So I didn't have to leave, so I didn't need my keys. So I never looked for my keys because I didn't need them at any point last night. So it wasn't until this morning that I woke up. Griffin sent me a text, said, hey, man, can you be in here a little bit early for me? I said, no problem, Griffin. Anything for you, pal. You know me. And then went to grab my keys off of my bedside table where I keep them and said, that's weird. So I did what any normal human would do. I searched I went and try to find the pants that I was wearing yesterday in my laundry. Would I possibly never take them out? Nope, not the case. I then ripped up any reasonable. Mrs. Clark and I spent the next 20 minutes ripping apart any reasonable place in our house where those keys might be. They are not to be found. So I believe this is to be blamed. The blame falls on my 6-year-old child, Sam. You son of a. Wait, that would make it me. All right, you know what I mean. So that's the first. That's the first answer. I believe there are some important follow-up questions.
Yeah, certainly. First of all, I guess that's a pretty strong answer. You're able to manage a fit of read in there.
I don't know that it's a strong answer. Oh, yeah, I did get a read in. That's a good point.
Yeah, so that's solid points there. John Colson, I'll go to him who chimes in the Facebook chat here. You only have one set of keys?
Thank you. That was the reasonable question that I thought needed to be asked next. Yeah, have always only had one set of keys for this car. It is a chip key, and when we bought the car, they did not have a second key. I said, well, can I just go get another one made? And they were like, well, it's a chip key. It's not that simple. Now, perhaps chip key technology has changed in recent years, and maybe it is now routine to be able to go get a new chip key made. But this was 2020, I believe, when I purchased the car. I think it was in mid-pandemic. At the time, I was told it wasn't quite that easy. You would have to go through the dealer. The dealer might have to. It was way too much in the moment for me to think I could handle it. I would need, John Colson, I would need like a week off, maybe, to deal with these types of problems. You prepared? You ready to give me like a week next summer that I don't go anywhere? Because as everyone knows, when you have young kids, you don't actually ever get a vacation. It is actually more stressful to be away from work than it is to be at work when you travel with young children. So it is important that I would need, if you want to bless me, like a week off to just improve my life, just like a nice staycation to spend 5 days working on Glenn, by all means. Unfortunately, because I work 500 jobs, I have not had the time to be able to dive in and figure out how to go about getting a replacement or a second chip key made. So I believe that was a good one. That was a good follow-up from John Colson. I feel like there's another follow-up that needs to be asked, Griffin.
Did you check where you last put him? Is that?
Oh, God, that was what Drew Forrester said. That's definitely not a necessary follow-up. That's the reason why John Harbaugh wanted to choke him out in Charlotte that day, is because he asked dumb questions.
So what you're saying is that if you were to get this week off, this would never happen.
You're missing a very important one. Why don't you have a tile on your keys? That's the important question that should be asked, Griffin. And I'm glad you did. Thank you. Dynamite.
Why don't you have a
question,
tile
Griffin
on the keys?
What a question. I mean, you're handling this like a responsible journalist. I do have a tile on my keys.
Ah.
The tile expired, I want to say, 1.5 years ago. So
we need that week off, yeah.
Yeah, after the first time this occurred, I got a tile for my keys. I said, well, I tell you who this is never going to happen to again, your old pal GC. Got myself a tile. And did not know at the time that tiles only lasted for a year. So I had a situation where I needed to, like, I think Mrs. Clark had borrowed the keys, didn't know where she put them, and I said, no problem, I have a cheat code here, I'll use the tile. Went to my app on the phone, pulled it up, and I was informed that the tile was expired. And I was so pissed off that I didn't realize that the tile was only good, because like tiles cost real money, that the tile was only good for a year, that I said, well, I will never give these people at Tile my money again. They will never receive any of your old pal GC's money. Feeling good about that decision right now. Feeling really good about my decision to bail on the tile, which, again, the actual tile itself still on the keys, but no longer good. I will not be able to use it to find out where my keys are.
Gotcha.
Next.
And so there was no option to use Mrs. Clark's car or ride in with her and have her drop you off here.
Mrs. Clark also had to go to work. Mm-hmm. So, again, with a little bit more time, if we had recognized this problem last night, it could have been handled. But given that you needed me at 9:40 today, and that this problem began at 9:05, and I was hoping that just by looking around the house I would come up with the keys. We did not have enough time to devise it. This was the best plan for addressing the 9:40 situation.
Right. Okay.
Was that I would do the show from home today. There's a follow-up question that you should be asking right now.
I don't know if this is the one you want, but should we expect to see any personnel changes in the Clark household and
any personnel changes?
You
know what? I do think we might have to bench the 6-year-old. We might if we discover that he's the one responsible. No, I think the appropriate follow-up question is
this going to happen tomorrow?
Happened? That's the appropriate follow-up question is what happens after the show if you still don't find your keys? And Griffin, the answer to that question, I'm going to sound like John Harbaugh. I don't know. I have no earthly idea what my plan.
Week to week.
We are taking everything day to day at the moment. I'm supposed to be at trivia tonight. I don't know what unfolds here if I go looking for the keys again at 12:15 today and I don't find them. I have no idea how any of this goes. I don't know what I need an adult, frankly. I need someone to be an adult in my life and tell me who I would need to call. Will they just come make a new key for me? Or will they be like, hey, we think you're trying to steal this car. We're not making a new key for you. I don't know how any of this works. So I need an adult. I hope that come 12:15, I will walk downstairs and magically a pair of keys will just be sitting somewhere out in the open for me to see. I'm terrified that will not be the case, and I don't know where we go from here. So I would say I'm living in fear at the moment is where we're at. I am paralyzed and crippled by fear at the moment, but we're just going to go ahead and try to do a show anyway. So anything else that you feel?
So we'll just go get a new car, I think.
I think that's exactly the way that it works. And this car just sits in my garage for the rest of my life. That's its home now.
Definitely not.
It stays there forever.
Definitely not in the couch cushions or anything, we think.
Oh, we definitely pulled all the couch cushions off the couch. We definitely did that. We looked under the couch. Griffin, when I say we looked in every little nook and cranny, we looked all of them. And no keys.
Fridge.
None.
Fridge.
The fridge. You know what? I don't know that we looked in the fridge. I will do that. It's a non-zero. If I remember correctly, the first time, it was my older son the first time, who was the time, it was not, he was not older. He was very young, who lost my keys the first time this happened. And we found out that they were in his bed. I went and looked in his bed
first,
just in case.
Yeah, okay.
They were not there.
The boys, Casey's chiming in as well. The boys are not home, right? The
boys are not home, unfortunately.
They're furthering their education right now.
Yeah, they are at school, so they cannot chime in on where the keys might be.
Casey suggests bribing them with money. I feel like that might be counterintuitive because now they're.
I'm gonna bribe them with their ass getting kicked.
Because if we bribe them with money, then they're gonna be like, oh, I can hide the keys and I can just make money on.
Right, 100%. You're just gonna keep ripping off Dad. I think the play is. I talked to Santa Claus, and Santa Claus said, if you don't find the keys, then, you're never going to get anything for Christmas ever again. And I've heard some rumors about what might be
you and Santa Claus
what
are
might
close.
be on Santa. Santa might be bringing a Nintendo Switch this year. So
that's a big one.
I think there's going to be a Santa
Santa had a good year.
Oh, they did. I think it was going to be awkward yesterday when Ravens score first didn't hit and Ravens in the first quarter didn't hit either. It was going to be awkward for me to try to explain to the boys why Santa was struggling with his bets this year.
Tell Santa just stick with the primetime unders, okay?
Yeah, that might be the play. So there could be an email, a strongly worded email from Santa Claus that I show to the boys later related to if you don't find the keys, there will be nothing for you on my sleigh. That's going to be coming into play. Is there anything else that we need to cover about this situation, or do we handle that appropriately? And now we can get to the insane decisions. Look, this is the thing. If I'm willing to second guess John Harbaugh, I must also be willing to be second guessed. I want that to be known. I'm going to challenge.
Do we have the right guy? Do we have the right guy hosting Glenn Clark Radio right now is what we're.
I'm going to take accountability. I'm going to take accountability. None of this, when I explain my circumstances, when I say why it is that I'm not telling you it's acceptable. It's unacceptable. These are explanations, not excuses. It's unacceptable that I abandoned the tile company because I was pissed off that I didn't know. That's on me. I'm sure when I purchased that first tile, they were very clear that it was only good for a year. But old GC didn't recognize that. And when he got that news, he was not happy about it. He was not thrilled. So because of that, he said, a pox on the Tile Corporation. I will never be involved with that product. And I promise you, I regret that decision wholeheartedly. I am not happy about the decision that I made there. That was a serious mistake. And I accept responsibility and I hold myself accountable for the decision that was made. So I just want to be abundantly clear. I am not above being held. You know what's an even bigger bummer, Griffin? I made an additional Thanksgiving leftover pizza yesterday, and I was going to bring it in to share with the office today.
Man, that is a bummer.
I can't promise that it's going to make it to tomorrow because I might be stuck in this house. This might turn into a Lord of the Flies situation. I might just have to eat everything in this house. I might have no choice at some point. Awkward decisions might have to be made because I don't know how I'm getting out of this place today.
All right.
It's just the reality of the circumstances.
And then I guess to wrap it up, can you promise that this will not happen again, or we can't go that far?
No, I certainly cannot promise that. I promise that I will take some. If this requires me to have to suck it up, stick my tail between my legs, and go back to the folks at Tile, I guess that's what I'm going to have to do. I'm not thrilled about it.
How much does a tile cost?
I don't know. I genuinely don't remember. I just remember that I got one, and I was like, this must be for the rest of my life that this works. How much does a tile cost?
I think we'll have to see one of those, owner. We'll have to have a John Colson, Glenn Clark, like Frank Reich, Tepper meeting here. And
right, yes, Frank Reich got the heave ho this morning.
Yes, he did.
Hang on a second.
And you'll just have to describe those meetings. They're not fun. And
nope. Oh, look, man, I'll go in. I'll take accountability. So apparently, because it's Cyber Monday. That's
perfect.
The reason.
Oh, this is the perfect time.
It's Cyber Monday, so you can get one for $16.49.
Boys are doing you a favor.
Only good for a year, and so this thing might occur. What's today's date? November 27th?
Correct.
Mark down December 1st of 2024 because we might have this problem again at that point. But I will promise you, as I am clicking purchase right now over at Amazon, that it will not be an issue for the next year because I have purchased a new tile in order to deal with this problem.
And while we're throwing out the date, since we won't forget because it is my mom's birthday, so happy birthday to my mom.
Oh, happy birthday, the Griffin's mom. Yes, happy birthday, Griffin's mom. Yes. All right, we good?
We won't forget.
We good? We've handled. Let's get to the Ravens. How about that? All right, let's get to them. So today's show also brought to you by Superbook. Your boy, we'll get to it later, had another good weekend betting-wise, except for the Ravens score first and the Ravens first quarters. Those were not so great. But everything else, just picking games, had another good weekend. Tonight, Vikings 3-point favorites against the Bears. I have American dollars on the Vikings tonight. So if you want to bet with me, go right now to superbook.com, download the Superbook app, use the code GlennClark23 when you sign up. If you do, you will receive up to $250 in a same-day first bet match, win or lose. Again, superbook.com or download the Superbook app. All right, so yeah, the Ravens win last night, and they hit the break, the bye week, at 9-3 in first place in the AFC. All of those are good things. Now, I don't know exactly how the tiebreakers work, so I don't know what happens next week when the Ravens aren't playing and who will go in front of them. But I think I am to understand that they do not have the tiebreakers. So if the Chiefs win next week, I'm pretty sure the Chiefs then surpass them again in the AFC standings. That's what it is. There's nothing you can do about it. You can only control your controllables, and the Ravens did that. We also, of course, know that it was not as aesthetically pleasing as you would want a football game to be. The Ravens were far from perfect in their victory over the Chargers last night. It absolutely had the feel in the second half of a familiar story of games that the Ravens had lost this year against teams they had no business losing to. So as I, again, try to start with the positives, the first positive is they're 9-3. The second positive is in a situation where we have seen them other times this year melt down, they didn't yesterday. They got it back together in just enough time, and frankly, thanks to the defense, in order to make sure they not only held on, but they got a cover. Bless you, Zay Flowers, for the worst decision that anyone could ever make. Thank you for that. We'll address that in a second. It wasn't pretty. It's not going to make you feel better. As we discussed last night on the Project Game Day postgame show, everyone has every right to feel or to say this isn't good enough to win a Super Bowl. We can't prove that. There's no definitive way to prove it. And I think my argument back would be, well, that defense might be good enough, right? If you play defense at that level, maybe that'll prove to be good enough to win a Super Bowl. As it's worth pointing out that while Patrick Mahomes is a different animal, you know, their receivers still are who they are, and they still drop footballs. And there's a reason why the Chiefs have struggled to win games. They won yesterday, but they have been struggling to win games before that. So I can't tell you definitively that it's not good enough, but I understand why the feeling exists. And I think it's fair to say that the standard that you have for the Ravens is more than that. What's frustrating about last night is you don't really know how to describe the problem. Because if you say that the Ravens' offense was inept, you would be wrong. They averaged 5.2 yards per play last night. The Ravens offensively, on the whole, were fine. There were a couple of issues. The biggest one being, at one point, much like at one point in the Browns game, Myles Garrett just took over and dominated the game. At one point last night, Khalil Mack started to just take over and dominate the game. And the Ravens seemed to have no answers. It's worth pointing out, it did seem like they were trying to chip a little bit more, and they were trying to help out a little bit more, and it still just wasn't working. That's a problem. You know, as was pointed out last night, the next game you play against Aaron Donald. You still have Nick Bosa on the schedule. You still have Josh Allen on the schedule. You're going to face I think we assume that Jalen Phillips is done for the year. Is that where we're at with Jalen? They announced that, didn't they, over the weekend, that Jalen Phillips is done for the year. So you're going to miss him. You still have another game against T.J. Watt coming up at the end of the year, and in the playoffs you might face Chris Jones. You know, you might have to face Myles Garrett again. You're gonna have to face high-level edge rushers the rest of the year. And you're going to have to come up with better answers in those circumstances. I get it. It's not easy. There's a reason those guys are high-level players. There's a reason why every team wants a player like that. But you got to come up with better answers. So that would be one thing that you could point out. But just also seemed weird in that there was the thing that we always complained about with every other offensive coordinator is that sometimes it seems like you lose feel for the game. There were just a number of moments last night. Clearly, the failure to challenge both the Lamar Jackson run and the Nelson Aguilar catch, galaxy brain type of stuff. The Ravens love challenging ball spots that have no opportunity of getting overturned. There is nothing in recent NFL history that's been more difficult to overturn than an open field ball spot. These weren't open field ball spots.
You could see the first down marker, and he was a full yard.
Well, the Nelson Aguilar one. It's almost it's comical how far beyond the first down marker he was. The Lamar Jackson one, admittedly, is closer, right? Because you're trying to figure out exactly where the ball was over the sideline. But no matter how many times you look at it, you don't come away with anything other than that's a first down. If you want to say that in the world where officials are prejudiced by the call on the field, which is something that in general in football, we're going to have to talk about at some point. I have discussed this over and over again. The prejudice of call made on the field is very difficult. The Ohio State-Michigan thing from Saturday where, hey, it's close, like I don't know that it's clear and obvious, so let's just stick with the call on the field. I watched that thing 5 times from the Ohio State-Michigan game. I'm almost certain that should have been an interception. It wasn't called that way. No, I feel nothing. I do not feel any way bad for Ohio State. F Ohio State. But from a football standpoint, that was, to me, an interception. And it felt like sort of the cowardly thing that officials do regularly, which is, well, we made a call on the field. Let's go with the call on the field. Is it possible that the Lamar Jackson one, they would have stuck with the call on the field because of that? Maybe. But the video seems pretty clear no matter how you slice it. So the first problem is not challenging those plays. And then, cartoonishly challenging. Look, John's had some bad answers this season, and it's a very difficult thing for me. John Harbaugh, that is. Not John Colson. Although how have John Colson's answers been this year? I got to think about that. Maybe he's had bad answers too. John Harbaugh's had some bad answers this year. His answer about challenging the lateral is damn near the top of his list of his worst answers. We didn't have a good look at it, but those things are really hard to do, so it was worth the shot. Imagine just choosing to piss away a timeout, and you have no idea. There's so many questions that need to be asked, like, hey, what's going on up in that booth? How have you not gotten a good... And I get it, like, we were all watching the same game. NBC had not shown the direct down-the-line replay yet. So I can understand if, from a time standpoint, they didn't see it. On the field, I also thought it was close. But to just piss away a timeout in the second half of a football game that you might need... Yes, that you might need for saving your ass at the end of the game over, well, hey, maybe we'll get it. And yes, it looks so much worse because the other two you would have gotten and you didn't challenge them. But as bad as the challenges themselves were, the immediate follow-up play calls are almost as problematic to me. The first one led to the 4th and 1 direct snap to Gus Edwards. And my brain still can't comprehend this. As Rita said so eloquently last night, why are you running the Wildcat? You have a Wildcat. Lamar Jackson is a Wildcat. I will never in my life understand the thought process of taking the most dynamic playmaker in modern NFL history out of a play. Ever. I will never understand how you could possibly be better off running a play in which Lamar Jackson doesn't touch the football in any way. I'll never, my brain will never understand that. If you want to argue, well, hey, maybe we can hit him with something unexpected, they might think that there's a chance that Gus is going to throw the ball and they get duped by that. And I don't know, man. I got nothing for that. That was as insane gets. The play call to me is as problematic, if not more problematic, than the failure to challenge. You add to that apparently on the second one, after the Aguilar thing, they just didn't know. They just thought it was first down. They lined up and ran a play, and no one at any point said, guys, are we sure we're all together on this one? How that happens, And I tried. Like, I talked to Femi about it, and he was like, yeah, I mean, I guess it could happen that, like, you're just confident. And we all remember that there was the issue with the chains for the Chargers on the first drive of the game where they put up that it was third down when it was obviously fourth, and Brandon Staley was screaming about it. And, like, maybe the Ravens just said, hey, ignore we saw it. It was first down. Ignore that. They're just screwing up the chains again. Let's go.
Right.
Maybe.
But then for them to do that hurry up and that tempo, that was what made it seem like, oh, they know it's a short line to gain.
And they're trying to catch him off guard.
Right.
Which is also bizarro world. Like, I don't know why that's what the Ravens are the team that feels like you have to try to catch a team off guard in order to be capable of converting fourth and short.
When you have the most almost unstoppable weapon in football.
Or yeah, the first one was fourth and short. The second one was third and short. Yes, correct. When you have Lamar Jackson, you know which fourth down worked last night? The one where you just lined up and handed the ball to Gus Edwards, and he plunged forward and picked up a first down. That short yardage play worked. I'm at a loss. I mean, I'm really at a loss for that. All that being said, as bizarre as last night was, I would find it really inappropriate to panic about any of it. I do think, in my heart of hearts, that last night reflected the difficulty of the first game adjusting to life without Mark Andrews. And that, in particular, one of the things we saw, I believe the number is they finished with 5 drives of 7 plays or more. Let me double confirm that. But I was keeping track of this last night.
Yeah, that seems pretty right, though, because it felt like there was a good bit of drives that just kind of stalled out. Like they moved the ball. It felt like.
So yeah, the end of the game was 2 plays. The last touchdown was obviously 3 plays. Then a 9-play drive that led to a missed field goal. That was a 3-play drive for a punt. 9-play drive that led to a punt. Another 9-play drive that led to a field goal. A 4-play drive on downs. 5-play drive for a field goal. 9-play drive that was a turnover on downs. 12-play drive for a touchdown. 7-play drive for a punt. So there were. Let's make this clear. There were 6 drives of 7 plays or more that produced a total of 10 points. And it feels like that part of what happened as they were getting into drives and things were working is that the thing that they're most comfortable with, either going to Mark Andrews or forcing defenses to have to pay so much attention to Mark Andrews that it further opens things up, was a factor significantly last night. Rashad Bateman made a hell of a play. Dude, that touchdown drive in the first half was a chef's kiss a drive as I have seen from the Baltimore Ravens. That had everything. It was magnifique. The third down play by Rashad Bateman is exactly what we were talking about last week when I said I think Rashad Bateman can be a serious part of the story of how you go about making up for the loss of Mark Andrews. That was next level type of stuff. The catch by Nelson Aguilar that should have been, right? Like, that was an amazing catch. That wasn't on the touchdown drive. Of course, we know what happened on that drive. But it felt like last night, the adjustment to life without Mark Andrews was real. They weren't inept offensively. It's just that when they got into drives, they found them a bit more difficult to sustain. Should they have committed to one running back or the other last night and just said, hey, it's your night? Keaton Mitchell looked great, right? But then everybody would say, why get away from Gus? Gus does everything right.
Gus does that 4th and 1 and gives you a first down, yeah.
The argument would be, why was Justice Hill involved at all? But truth be told, Justice Hill ran the ball well last night, right? Like, Justice Hill averaged 6.2 yards per carry last night. So I can't say it was a mistake to put Justice Hill on the field. It just sort of felt like a night where you didn't need to try to find 5 carries for Justice Hill. I'm still bamboozled by the decision on 3rd and 3 to run the ball with Justice Hill and then kick a field goal. Like if you're running the ball with anyone there, I presume it's because you've already decided you have 2 downs to pick this up. Go get whatever yards you're going to get. And as a lot of people have pointed out, the difference, like the esoteric thing that we say is, hey, this is the difference between it being a field goal game and a touchdown game. But the reality is, like, if the team gets a touchdown the other way, you're losing. Like, it's not, there's a difference in you're up by 4, let's kick a field goal so that a touchdown only ties the game, versus you're up by 3. Now a field goal won't tie the game, but that team has 4 downs to work with. That, like, they're up against the wall. They get the opportunity to now go score a touchdown to potentially win the game. So I thought it was nuts to even try the field goal there. Obviously, the far bigger problem being Justin Tucker missing a chip shot. I mean, that's indoors, climate controlled. I know it's technically not indoors because it's like a canopy. It's not a dome, but it's climate controlled in Southern California. A 44-yard field goal is an NFL chip shot. That's, I mean, we have to talk about it. Like, we've been trying to avoid it or say, well, hey, we're talking about long kicks. There's a problem here. I mean, there's a problem right now, and it could bite the Ravens in the ass in a significant moment at some point. Like, I am nervous about that right now. But I thought the play call was bonkers. I mean, I'm again, if you're not going for it, if you're not going for it on 4th down there, why are you running the ball? Could you pick up 3 yards? You could, but assuming it, I have no idea where that comes from. I mean, that's boggles my mind, man.
I mean, I guess the only defense is that you have Justice Hillen. They expect you to pass the ball, so you catch
right because he's your pass. Yes, he's your pass blocker.
But then, to your point though, then that means you're in 4-down territory. Like you're trying to get Justice Hill to sneaky 3 yards, or he gets 2, and then you obviously you run a 4th. You go
let's go for it. I got nothing for that. But ultimately, again, they won the game. They have been through a lot travel-wise this year. They've gone to London and back, and then Arizona and back, and they've done all of these things. They have played without some of their best players, with other best players clearly not 100%. They're going to have to continue to play without Mark Andrews moving forward, but you presume that Marlon Humphrey comes back after the bye, and I don't know that the defense needed the help because the defense was phenomenal last night, but now it has the opportunity to get even better for this stretch to close the season. I feel good. Last night was weird. It was a weird game, but sometimes you have to win weird games. This is the NFL. They've won the aesthetically pleasing games this season. They beat the Seahawks the way that they did. They beat the Lions the way that they did. They have won aesthetically pleasing, pleasant types of games. Sometimes you're not winning that game. Sometimes you're winning. Look at every other team. The Eagles aren't blowing everybody out. They're not really blowing anybody out. You have to win games like this sometimes. I get it. We'd all rather watch a valiant overtime touchdown drive and say, look at the conquering hero who moved down the field and won the game the way that Jalen Hurts did. That's what we think football is. But this year in particular, football has proven to be defense too. And to the point where I don't think that I'm going to be dismissive of the idea that defense might not be capable of winning a championship again this year. I know that we kind of dismiss that notion in recent NFL history, but this season has shown us that defense kind of matters again. I feel good. They need to improve, and I think they need to get cleaning up these types of mistakes. I get it. Somebody's going to say, well, this is John Harbaugh. This is what he's always done. I know. I understand. I can't assume that the Ravens are going to make 2 insane decisions to not challenge plays every game the rest of the year. I think they need to get more comfortable both in play calling and execution without Mark Andrews on the field. And I think they have to have better strategies for facing high-level edge rushers. And maybe, again, just some rest will go a long way to that. They have waited a very long time to just get a breather, and maybe that will prove to be beneficial. But on the whole, I feel good, and I think we should feel good about the situation that the Ravens are in as they hit the bye. All right, let's grab a break here. Today's show, how about just a reminder, coming up a little bit later on today, Stan the Fan, who always does his show from home, he did not lose his keys, to my understanding. Stan the Fan will be back in action. He, Ross Grimsley, Luke Jackson, talking baseball with you. Facebook.com/PressBoxSports. If you miss it live, you can see it at YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline tomorrow, 6 o'clock this evening for Stan the Fan Charles, Ross Grimsley, and Luke Jackson. Some more potential options coming off the market for the Orioles, guys that perhaps you would have said, that's something that I would have done. They'll talk about that. They'll talk about what still could be done coming up a little bit later on today. When we come back in, we're going to chat with Qadry Ismail. That's next. I'm Glenn. He's Griffin. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now. On the cover, Todd Karpovich profiles the Orioles' survivors. Anthony Santander, Austin Hayes, Cedric Mullins, and Ryan Mountcastle, who all came from the previous regime but stuck through tough times to be key pieces in guiding the franchise back to prominence. Also inside, we remember the iconic Brooks Robinson with tributes from Jim Henneman and myself, Stan the Fan Charles, and a trip down memory lane to remember the most significant moments of his career. Plus, we meet players from college basketball programs around the state. Pressbox is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always find the entire edition, as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
Visit Harford County. Gear up for the holidays by supporting local with Small Business Saturday on November 25th. Take in the dazzling sights of the season with a Ladue Christmas at Ladue Topiary Gardens. Enjoy holiday lights, sing along to holiday songs, reserve a carriage ride, and sit on Santa's lap in Bel Air's Winter Wonderland, happening every Saturday from November 25th until December 16th. Nothing sparks that holiday joy quite like a festive parade. Head to visitharford.com and click on Events to see the full list of parades and so much more. In Maryland, you're welcome.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
There's so much focus on sports betting these days, but I want to talk about an area that nobody wants to gamble on, where you choose to go out and spend your hard-earned dollars to eat. The Costas Inn is no gamble at all. The quality on their menu is outstanding, and the value is off the charts with a great and varied list of specials Monday through Friday. And the staples of the menu, whether it's salads, burgers, fish, they're all fantastic. And I haven't even mentioned the crabs or crab cakes yet. So check out the menu for yourself at CostasInn.com. When choosing a place to dine, never gamble on the food you put in your belly. The Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard, or call 410-477-1975 for reservations and your steamed crab orders.
6 chicken tenders made from fresh, never frozen Royal Farms world-famous chicken, a family-sized order of Western fries, honey mustard dipping sauce, and a 2-liter bottle of Dr. Pepper. It's Royal Farms' new Tucker's Tenders Meal. It's Justin Tucker's favorite, and at only $19.99, it'll be your favorite meal too. The new Tucker's Tenders Meal, available only at Royal Farms. Now you can kick back, relax, and eat like a champion. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
Come for a game, stay for everything else. Book an unforgettable fall getaway in Charm City. Enjoy only in Baltimore festivals, mouthwatering eats, and endless entertainment. Treat yourself to a staycation in the heart of downtown, or try one of the city's many charming neighborhood hotels. And don't miss out on packages for free parking, breakfast, and more. Plan your stay at baltimore.org/hotels.
Don't forget about Project Game Day after every Ravens game this season. It's kind of like this show, except Rita's also there, so I actually think it's pretty good. But hey, you're already here now, so why don't you go ahead and keep listening to GCR?
All right, back in here on Glenn Clark Radio, and yeah, I'm not here. I'm at home trying to find my keys. I hopefully that'll happen here shortly. Hey Griffin, you want to let everybody know what's going on at Live Casino and Hotel?
Yeah, over at Live Casino in Hotel Maryland at the FanDuel Sportsbook, they have the Second Chance to Win drawing going on all football season long, where you can turn losses into winning opportunities with the Second Chance to Win promotion. Because between now and January 4th, 2024, all Live Casino and Hotel Maryland Rewards members will be able to enter their losing bet slips into the Second Chance to Win drum, and then 2 nights a week, 20 different winners will be chosen, with prizes ranging from Live Casino and Hotel Maryland apparel, sports and social ultimate happy hour, plus cash in free play worth up to $500. Drawings will be held every Thursday and Monday, only at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino in Hotel Maryland. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, very good. We actually had to do this a little bit earlier on today because of his schedule, but an opportunity to catch up with our friend, Mr. Qadry Ismail, right here on GCR. We'll join now here on GCR, of course, by a friend of ours, a Super Bowl champion, a man you see on WJZ 13. He is the missile himself, our buddy, Mr. Qadry Ismail. Qadry, hope you and your family had a great Thanksgiving. Appreciate it, you as always, brother, for taking the time for us.
Yes, absolutely. Thanksgiving was awesome, and my digestive system has been working overtime.
Okay, wait a second. I know you. You are a man who takes serious care of your body. Do you, allow yourself to indulge over Thanksgiving at all?
Well, there's the depth of the questions, and the answer is yes and no. So the yes part is I am going to eat and eat a lot. The no is that I'm not going to sit there and eat a whole bunch of nastiness that I'm going to regret. So the food that I do eat, it's all good food. It's just I eat a lot more than I normally would.
Okay, so the point is you don't hit the dessert table on Thanksgiving.
You said the dessert table? Oh. I mean, that's a given. It's just I'm not going to go to some nasty place that has overly processed, high fructose corn syrup, canola oil having, just type of desserts that really don't serve to help me, some hydrogenated oils. I'm trying to go where I can have something that I know the ingredients are simple and the wholesome goodness will be just amazing. It's just that from a standpoint of eating, I just ate too much of it.
All right. See, everything you sounded okay for a second, and then I was like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. This is why, Qadry, you're older than I am, but yet you're still going to live longer than I do. That's just the way that it's going to work because I can't bring myself to it. Let's talk about the Ravens. How fair is it to discuss their inconsistencies last night, some of the play calling questions that we might have, versus acknowledging they just went across the country, won a game by 2 scores, they're 9-3. There's no reason why we should really be unhappy about much of anything.
Well, it's not that we're not unhappy. I think what we are, we're what's the word I'm looking for? We expect excellence. We have seen it from time to time. Twice we have seen it where it's resulted in the ultimate, and a few other times we have seen it where it's gotten close to the ultimate. And so we don't want to be Billy Cundiff. We want to finish this thing. So ultimately, it's not that we're picking apart just the negative. We're trying to say, okay, how can we improve so we can get better?
Okay, so is it fair to say that the way the Ravens performed last night isn't good enough for winning a Super Bowl?
I would say defensively, the way in which they performed is absolutely Super Bowl worthy. I would say, shockingly, the way our special teams perform, a.k.a. the greatest of all time, and Justin Tucker, who now, I guess, accuracy-wise, percentage-wise, takes a dip. But, yeah, I think he would be the first to admit that we missed the mark. At the same time, from a bigger picture standpoint, I think offensively, they did what needed to be done to complement the defense.
Yeah, we're chatting with Qadry Ismail here on GCR. Qadry, is it fair to suggest that like what they did offensively, while incongruent at times, probably is more of a case of adjusting to life without Mark Andrews, and maybe we needed to be willing to say, hey, this might not look perfect for a little while because it's not easy to lose one of the best pass catchers in the entire NFL.
Of course, I think that's spot on. Anytime you have a guy that's productive in your offense and he's no longer there, you're going to have to figure out, how to make everything else work. And he was a critical piece for Lamar Jackson, especially in the red zone. And you could see where they were moving the ball, but then it would kind of stall a little bit. And that stalling, I think, was the lack of a Mark Andrews to kind of be that go-to guy. But at the same time, I would also say, from a Lamar Jackson, kind of either A, decide to run with the ball because you need to, or you got to hit Odell Beckham on when he was in the slot and he took off and did like a stutter go and beat his defender. I mean, that should have been a drop in the bucket touchdown that Lamar needs to have back, and he knows it. And I think those are plays that will bring the frustration of like, man, to your question of are they Super Bowl worthy? I think they are Super Bowl worthy, but I think at the same time you can't leave strong plays like that on the table.
The other thing that I think, aside from some of the decision making last night and obviously the replay stuff, I think the other thing is the Ravens have now, there's a bit of a pattern of them having some real problems against top-notch edge rushers. And to be fair, there's a reason why Myles Garrett, Khalil Mack, these guys are amongst the best in football. But what do you make of there being these sort of continued issues where it seems like one of these guys just sort of takes over a game and the Ravens don't really seem to have an answer for what to do about it?
It is scary. It is scary because when you get to the playoffs, and again, this is where the nitpicking, I think, is warranted, because when you have playoff caliber teams, they're in the playoffs because they're badasses too. And usually their general managers, they've made a free agent pickup, or they have drafted a guy too that is next level. So yeah, you're absolutely right when it comes to what are we going to do about it? And Ronnie Stanley and company, mother of pearl, like him and Moses need to figure that thing out quick, fast, and hurry.
Is it on them entirely, or is it some of it on not rolling Lamar Jackson out more in that situation? Like not just sort of acknowledging, hey, look, Khalil Mack's really good. We have to maybe change our thought process here because we can't just ask Ronnie Stanley, Morgan Moses to handle it.
They did. We saw Gus Edwards try and fail. We saw Justice Hill try and fail. So
yeah, that's true.
You're like, when I say Morgan and Ronnie, of course they're going to have in practices where they will talk to the backs and help and figure them to keep, like I know, Gus, he just stopped moving his feet and it just looked bad. I think, the one time Justice Hill made a business decision, but I think it's about working together and figuring out how to subtly chip a guy so he's not expecting you. And if he's not expecting you, you can kind of like knock him on his butt because he wasn't expecting you. I think those are the things that you look at and you're trying to implement and do for yourself and for your teammate. But those are nuances that good teams figure out sooner rather than later.
All right, just another couple of minutes here with Qadry Ismail on GCR after the Ravens won in Los Angeles last night. Qadry, there's nothing that can be done now about those decisions to not challenge the spots. I think it's nuts, but, obviously there's nothing you can do now. I did want to run by you just the follow-ups in both of those situations. The first one being after they didn't go for it, or after they didn't challenge on third down Lamar's run to the left sideline, they ran a play on fourth down that was a wildcat play to Gus Edwards that started like 5 yards in the backfield on fourth and short. Are we right to think it's nuts that when you have Lamar Jackson as your quarterback, you would ever run a short yardage play that didn't involve him having the ball?
Well, I think variety is king. I think what we're also seeing is that, Todd Monken, when he's in the thing cooking, he's feeling like, all right, I can take a little bit of the hit off of my quarterback and put it onto another back. I think at the same time, the brotherly shove, the tush push, however you want to describe it.
Yeah.
Maybe this team doesn't have the physicality of it. Maybe Lamar Jackson doesn't have enough junk in his trunk to really push it forward as well. But I think there are some better ways to, get a short yardage first down.
I'm so befuddled by it, Qadry. And then the other one where it was 3rd and 1 after they decided not to challenge the Nelson Aguilar thing. And it appears, and John Harbaugh kind of confirmed it after the game, that they ran a play, a short pass in the flat to Zay Flowers that went incomplete, that they didn't know was 3rd down, and they believed that it was 1st down. Is that viable? Can you buy that can happen, that a team can just sort of assume, an entire team can think that they picked up a 1st down, no one can look up at the screen or look over at the marker, and that you can actually get on and run a play, and that can happen within football, and you don't know that you were actually running a play on 3rd and short instead of on 1st and 10?
That one kind of was a tough one to swallow, and I was curious because I was like, well, you overly do it for so many times. Like you like everyone, there's, whether it be the running backs coach getting in personnel groupings, whether it be the receiver coach making sure, you have the right groupings in as well, and who's the down and distance person, and obviously Todd has his, eyes and ears next to him up in the booth. That one is a tough one, and so I don't know the processing, but that was disappointing to see.
Disappointing to say the least, man. Like that is kind of nuts that something like that can happen. But again, all's well that ends well. The Ravens win the game. You brought up Justin Tucker, so I do just want to get a thought from you. I don't know that the answer can possibly be anything other than he's Justin Tucker, so we're going to work through this because he's Justin Tucker. But do you start to think about, changing thought processes of when you might go? Like, I'll bring up even last night before he missed the kick, I thought it was weird that they ran the ball on 3rd and 3 with Justice Hill if they hadn't decided that they were going to go for it on 4th down. Like, I just thought that was a weird decision in that moment. Do you alter your decision-making at all right now, given the struggles that Justin Tucker is experiencing? Or come 2 weeks when you get back from bye, do you just say, nope, he's Justin Tucker, and we kind of pretend like none of these things have happened this year?
Hey, man, I was watching the Bills and Eagles game, and they had a downpour, and what was it, a 60 or 61-yard or something like that, and dude was like money. And the Eagles don't win that game if he doesn't kick that thing through the uprights. I think there's a lot of guys that have literally looked at Justin Tucker, the way he kicks. They've changed the way kicking is. He has changed the way kicking is. He has, you could see where he has perfected the art of the straight kick, and other kickers no longer hook or fade the ball. They literally are straight kickers. What am I trying to say? I think his legacy is established that that's the way to do it. It's the Justin Tucker style kick. It's the straight kick. And I remember vividly him talking about him and Jerry Rothberg. He will make the team. He will do what he needs to do if he changes, and he did, and it's been awesome, and off you go. However, yes, Father Time is undefeated. And so there are those moments where Tiger Woods misses the 3-footer that he would have automatically made. There's a time where Adam Vinatieri, hey, there's a little bit something there that even though I'm in an indoor stadium, I don't feel as good with my legs and the super fast twitch muscle fibers to kick it through the uprights. I think that's what we're seeing with Justin Tucker.
It feels that way, man. Again, he's the greatest of all time, and you hope that the ship gets righted. But boy, it is all sorts of weird. All right, Qadry, you want to remind everybody about missile training?
Yeah, man. Missile training, literally missiletraining.com. You go to that website. That's me. You get a chance to see what I do, how I can help you from 6 years old to 84-year-old. Like, the clientele is vast. It doesn't matter if you're an elite athlete, if you're a collegiate athlete, if you're a high school athlete, if you're a person trying to get off the couch, if you're a person trying to understand what longevity is about, I am your person. Let us do this, and I promise you the walk beside you and your journey would be a very awesome one for you to have.
No doubt. At I am Qadry Ismail is how you follow him. Qadry, always appreciate you, brother. Thanks for taking the time for us. Let's talk again real soon, all right?
Indeed. Appreciate you, Glenn.
It's Qadry Ismail, of course, former Ravens wide receiver, now with WJZ 13. Appreciate him hopping on with us this morning to talk a little bit about the Ravens game. All right, today's show also brought to you by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines, so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today. A couple folks who have gotten in this morning from, John Proctor chimed in. Says direct snapping to Gus is the Ravens equivalent of not handing the ball to Marshawn Lynch in the Super Bowl. Nobody would expect you not to use your best player. It's so dumb that it's possibly genius. It's not the dumbest thing the Ravens have ever done. Harbaugh's bizarre challenge was worse. At least Edwards is a good running back. Maybe the Huntley leap is my dumbest, but that also has recency bias. I'm also not sure that was actually the decision there. I thought that maybe Tyler Huntley kind of sort of did that on his own in that moment. From Jeff says, Glenn, is there any chance that this isn't your kids and you're just now 40 years old?
Have you checked the car?
Well, it couldn't be in the car because I had to get in the house.
Okay, all right.
I had to get into the house yesterday, so it had to be a way for me to get into the house, so they couldn't be in the car. Jeff, can I say that determinedly? No. It's not impossible. So sure. Is it possible that I'm just super old and I've lost I don't know, man. I don't think that there's any likelihood to that because, again, we've searched everywhere that it's reasonably they could be. So it seems like it's only possible there's some secret magic location that my kids decided to put the keys in. But I'm really, and this is straight shoot, Griffin. You know what I'm terrified of? Is that location is like a trash can. And now I got to go combing through all the trash cans to make sure that they didn't end up in a trash can before we take the trash out. That's what I'm worried about.
I would love to hear their reasoning. Oh, well, it was supposed to be a joke. You were gonna throw away your
something like that. And again, the first time this happened, we were talking about like a 4-year-old. Now, even my younger son is 6. There's no LOL, kids. There's real problems whenever we get to the bottom of this. By the way, while you guys are listening to Qadry Ismail, I did another once over of the entire house. Still no keys. Ron is in Owings Mills. He's hopped on with us this morning. Ron, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
Oh, Glenn, I'm doing fabulous. How are you?
If I knew where my keys were, I'd be doing better. I know that much.
Okay. Well, you'll find them. Do you have a dog,
I-
or do you have like a? Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
sometimes dogs can sense where things are. But anyway, I hope you find them. Glenn, I just a couple things here because I listened to some of your post game show with which is very good with Rita and
Thanks, buddy.
Femi
Yep.
and Josh Charles. I enjoyed it. I just don't. It shouldn't have been a close game. Are we in agreement there?
No, I mean they absolutely seem like they should have won that game by 3 to 4 scores.
Thank you. I agree. I mean, we gave them the ball back with a chance to win the game. I mean, I just so the challenge thing. Obviously, Glenn, for 15 years. I mean, I know it's something. Some people think in this town that I think it's a spiel. It's the truth, though. Like there's no excuse for it. And I appreciated you calling it out in the post game. I just have a question for you. Two things. Are the Tucker thing, Glenn, I think he's earned the right to work through it because he's the best ever. But I agree with the talk that you had on the postgame. I am ready to acknowledge he's missed some kicks. Like I'm finally ready to acknowledge that.
How could we ignore it, Ron? And again, I don't know what the follow-up to that is. As we discussed last night, the answer isn't you're getting rid of Justin Tucker. I mean, there's a million reasons why that's a mistake. One being because it's possible that there's just something weird going on in that in 4 weeks he'll figure it out, and you all felt extraordinarily stupid that you just got rid of the greatest kicker of all time. But there's other reasons too. Like you pay real money to Justin Tucker now. Like this isn't like other kickers. You gave Justin Tucker actual money, and like that's a factor in every decision that you make. I think the points that Femi made, you're not bringing somebody in right now to push him. You are at least getting through the end of the season on this and sort of dealing with it then. By the way, they couldn't even – I just looked at the numbers. They couldn't even release Justin Tucker in the offseason. They actually have a huge problem there because it's 11.6
and I'm not
million.
advocating for that.
Right. Do you think about it in the Rams game? If the circumstances, I can't get over, even before Justin Tucker made that kick, I can't get over the thought process of running the ball on third down if you weren't going for it on fourth down. I just I can't do that, and I do think that's the type of thing that I wouldn't have done to begin with. But now, after seeing what happened, there's no world in which I'm making decisions assuming that Justin Tucker is definitely going. That's the reality of the circumstances that you're in at the moment. And again, in 4 weeks, we could go right back to being ever so confident in Justin Tucker. But at the moment, we can't be.
Yeah, so like Femi says, like sometimes he walks around or does cartwheels. Like I'm the same way. Like Glenn, for so many years, I've been able to take a really quick number one, even a number two sometimes, because I know Justin's going to make it. But like I can't do that anymore. That's how things have changed a little bit. That's how great he's been, Glenn. Of
course,
how great he's been. I've been able to take like a minute huff and puff or get a slice of pizza. But one other thing too is like the Hail Mary thing. Was John asked about that or no? The Hail Mary at the end of the half.
I don't know. I saw you post about this on Twitter, Ron. I don't really understand what are they supposed to do there? Like what?
Well,
what do you want them to do in that spot?
I wanted them to punt. I don't want the Chargers to get the ball back to have any chance of a pass interference with a second left where they throw into the end zone and we get a penalty on us. That's the worst case scenario, but I'm a worst case scenario guy. Now they got the ball back and they threw a Hail Mary, but they didn't get a penalty. I would not have done that. That's just me, but I'm being cautious there.
I'll disagree with. Look, it's a bad situation to be in. There's no obvious call in that moment. I think the better argument would be if you're opposed to them even getting a chance, you still run an offensive play, but you run an actual Hail Mary that will definitely take 7 seconds off the clock, and have Lamar run around and heave the ball to the end zone. I kind of like the idea of, hey, let's go for it. Worst case scenario is they get a Hail Mary attempt. I know what you're saying, Ron, and the irony is that the Chargers actually were called for a pass interference on a Hail Mary earlier this year. But normally, and that was kind of the humor of the Derwin James call early in the season, normally they swallow their whistles on Hail Marys at the end of halves, and nobody gets called for a penalty. I just think it's so unlikely that, again, I know we saw the thing from the Dolphins-Jets game too. Like, I'm aware that there are things that can go wrong. I just think they're so unlikely that I was okay with
Then
them
take up
running
all
a
the time.
play.
Then take up all the time, like you said. Then run the play and throw an actual Hail Mary and the half not get that. Do something.
I get it, but you know Ron, the goofy part is the play they called worked, right? Like, Lamar just got it there a second too early because he was kind of hearing footsteps because the offensive line was not playing particularly well last night. That was there. The sideline was there. Like, if that throw is a second to a second and a half later, that's a first down, and they get the opportunity to kick a field goal at the end of the half. You and I we separate a little bit on that one. I did not have an issue with that. I thought that was a risk worth taking.
That's fair. So I want to just get to the last thing, and that's John Harbaugh. Just the last thing. I hope the Ravens win the Super Bowl, and nothing would make me happier than seeing John win a second title and me being proven wrong. I'm being honest, Glenn. I'm not kidding. I would love to come on here. I'd love to come on the airwaves, apologize to the Baltimore community for all of my John Harbaugh takes over the years. Nothing would make me happier because I ultimately want to see the team win. Now, if that doesn't happen, Glenn, and they get the number one seed and they flail out, have a disappointing postseason, are you of the mindset that John Harbaugh is allowed to finish his career in Baltimore and just for eternal time, or do you think where are you on that? I need to know that.
I think that there will be reasonable conversation to be had, Ron. But truth be told, no, I don't think John Harbaugh gets fired. I think that they might be a conversation about, hey, what are we talking about long term, and what do you want to do? And I would say it's a non-zero that at some point John Harbaugh would decide to step away. But
I don't think he's ever going to get fired. I don't think he's never going to get fired, Glenn. But I think a parting of the way, like he's stepping down. Like, if we flail out in this year's playoffs, I don't. This is just my opinion. If we win the Super Bowl, I'm proven wrong, and that's great. I'll apologize. But if we flame out and we're the number one seed, and Lamar is bad, and the coaching, there's bad coaching decisions that we have to question all off season, I'm not willing to roll the thing back again. That's all I'm gonna
Ron,
say.
I get what you're saying, and I appreciate it, but it's good to hear from you, Ron.
Man.
Thanks for the call, pal.
Thank you.
I know what Ron's saying, and we talked about this, KZ, over and over again. I understand all of it, and I just can't keep in that circumstance that Ron's talking about. Within the number one seed, they won at least 13 games at this point. Maybe they had to win all, so they had to win 14 games. And you're trying to run out that coach, and I get it. Like, I understand that the points that those people will be making, but that's just not. It doesn't seem reasonable. Context does matter. It's a tough thing, because I think it's warranted to have the conversation, but it's a very specific conversation that we're having. Like, it's a very specific conversation that we're having, and I would almost sort of say let's talk about that if it becomes necessary. Griffin, I know we normally do picks recap before Pats, but we only have a few minutes here. Do you want to do Pats first, and then we'll do picks recap after we talk to, or we can maybe even do it as we talk to Jeremy, because oh boy.
Then yeah, we can. Then sounds like a plan to me. Run through Pats.
All right, let's do Pats. Pats on the Ass, brought to you this week by the Tyus Bowser Show. A little bit of a bye-week shuffle for the Tyus Bowser Show, and I'm kind of glad, because if we had done a show next Tuesday, then we wouldn't have had a game to talk about. So would have been kind of, hey, how's life? Like, I'm kind of glad it worked out that way. So we pushed back the next Tyus Bowser Show to the following Tuesday, December 12th. I think this week we'll be able to announce the location for that one. I will get that to you as soon as possible. As always, you can find out more at PressBoxOnline.com/Bowser. The Tyus Bowser Show is a partnership of PressBox and Grade 8's Memorabilia. It's brought to you by AJ Michaels, Superbook Sports, and HelpMyGamblingProblem.org. You know the drill. Pats on the Ass. You pick 5 Ravens most deserving of praise for their performance in the win, this time over the Chargers. 2 of them must be offensive players. 2 of them must be defensive players. The 5th can be a special teams player, a coach, or another offensive or defensive player. Take those 5 Ravens that you've selected, rank them 5-1, with number 1 being your man of the match. and tell us who you got at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter. I don't know. This one seemed like a fairly easy one for me. There were a couple other guys that I considered, but for the most part, I really had coalesced, and it was just where they were going to be on the list. My number 5 is Keaton Mitchell, who, was dynamic as hell last night. Touched the ball 11 times for 89 yards. That math works. 8 yards per touch last night. Yes. Sign me up. And again, the question is, should there have been more of Keaton? I struggle with this because the combination of Keaton Mitchell and Gus Edwards for me works so well that I don't know that I ever want to just see you commit to one and not the other. And the easy complaint is, well, why do there need to be 5 carries for Justice Hill? But Justice Hill ran the ball well too last night. This is tough. But Keaton Mitchell, 8 yards per touch. That's phenomenal. Keaton Mitchell's my number 5.
He was my number 5 as well. You mentioned it all. He got more touches. He was more efficient than Gus and Justice. And I love seeing him getting worked more and more into the offense. So I can't wait to see what else they continue to do with Keaton Mitchell. And I hope he's on the field more. I think Gus should be on the field for certain situations, and I hope he stays on the field like that. But it is fun to see Keaton Mitchell do what he's doing because he seems really, really good.
All right, my number 4 is where we find Jadeveon Clowney, and it was awkward for me on the second defensive player because I thought a lot of guys played well, and it was sort of picking out which play was most significant. And I think there's a couple of arguments that can be made for which play was ultimately the most significant. I think the biggest one you could argue was the one on 4th down after the Tucker missed field goal that ended that drive. But I didn't think Arthur Millette had a great game, so I wasn't comfortable making it Arthur Millette, although I would understand the argument because of the importance of the play. But I go back to the other time where the Chargers appeared to have momentum, and that was earlier in the second half when it was 13-3. And remember, they put together a 19-play drive. And this was the first time where they converted on 4th down, and when they had pulled out the lateral, and then it just seemed like they were selling everything out and momentum was on their side. And that's when Jadeveon Clowney stepped in and on 3rd down delivered a sack fumble that not only, ended the drive, but obviously prevented them from even getting points when they were in obvious field goal range and had the chance to make it a 1-score game at that point. So Jadeveon Clowney ends up getting the edge for me. He's my number 4.
I left Clowney. It was really tough for me, but I ended up leaving Clowney off. So I went with another, my second offensive player here. Zay Flowers was my number 4. Obviously, he had the 2 touchdowns, and he's stepping up as he was the most targeted pass catcher. So we're gonna see how this wide receiving and pass catching group it advances and improves with Mark Andrews out. Wish he would have slid down there, inside the 5 or something on that last run. But
yeah, that's the awkward part, right? Because he's my number 3, but it's
right.
Dude, it's an awkward conversation.
It was worth it to see the Ronaldo celebration. I think that kind of
yeah. Everybody hated the first one. I did not hate the first one the way that everybody else.
I didn't
hate
it either, but once I saw the Ronaldo one, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is a touchdown.
Yeah, that one was very cool. I agree with that. It's awkward to talk about the Zay Flowers thing because there is no if somehow the Chargers score and recover the onside kick, Zay Flowers is number 1 on our slaps to the helmet list. And as I try to discuss with Femi, I can be a little bit more forgiving of a rookie in that spot. And I don't know, if the Ravens had – the bigger issue is, did the coaching staff, as they took the field out of a timeout there, say, hey, guys, remember, if you break one, you go down at the 2. And if they did that and he didn't go down at the 2, then there's a bigger problem here. There's a much bigger problem of – did Zay Flowers not listen to the instructions that were given to him by the coach? And without knowing that, it's hard for me to talk about it because it was almost egregious enough for me to leave him off the list entirely. But to your point, you can't ignore the totality of the day, and that was the play that did sort of seal the game. It's an awkward conversation to have. if he was a fourth-year guy, it might have been enough for me to leave him off the list. Because he's a rookie, I'm inclined to give him a pass for this, and hopefully this was not an insubordination thing. Like the Ravens just didn't mention it. Like they forgot to address on the sideline, hey, what happens if you break it here? And he hadn't just been reminded. I'm sort of giving him like a 3 with an asterisk, right? Like I have to acknowledge it, but I do have issues. And at some point, some of them aren't as obvious as like this made it a 2-score game. It was almost impossible. There are going to be other circumstances, like in a tie game, for example, where it sort of seems like you're tied. You got to go score. And you completely forget that like you must go down at the 2 because if you give them the ball back, you're now giving them the ball back in a 1-score game. Like you got to make sure you get this right. You got to make sure, again, blessings because a lot of us bet the Ravens to cover. So thank you. But
so it makes the list,
it just can't happen. It can't happen. There's no getting around it. So it's a 3, but it's a 3 with an asterisk.
Yeah, the story last night for me was the defense, so I have 3 defensive guys moving forward. And, you know, it starts with this guy. He's been so consistent. Roquan Smith is my number 3. Obviously, was delivering massive hits all night, forcing fumbles. And I know it's kind of beating a dead horse at this point, but, you know, I mean, the entire defense is playing and has been playing with the ferocity that, you know, all stems back to when he got here to Baltimore. And he's the reason that it feels like he's the reason that we could pick literally any defensive player and put them on the list today. So Roquan Smith is my number 3. I mean, because we see like Geno Stone delivering big hits that maybe should have been a flag, but Patrick Queen big hits. And you know, it's a scary Ravens defense, and it's because of that guy in the middle.
Okay, all right. I mean, I got no beef with it. My number 2 is Kyle Hamilton. Man, what a freaking stud that guy is. It's bonkers, man. I don't even know how to talk about it. Kyle Hamilton is nuts, dude. And it's so difficult because, you know, not everything he does is statistically driven. But you just saw in the first half yesterday, you're like, what? This guy is an alien, man. Like he is not, and it's not the same as Aaron Donald's an alien. It's not the same as, you know, 300-pound dudes that are, it's just, it's crazy to me how many different things this guy is capable of. I don't know that he will be appreciated around the league maybe the way that he should because it's not statistically like it's easy for us to see what Deron Bland is doing and say, well, that guy's having a magical season. I don't think it's quite as easy for everybody to see what Kyle Hamilton is doing, but holy hell, man. Kyle Hamilton is crazy. He's my number 2.
He's my number 2 as well. I mean, we're seeing him get, you know, turn into the leader and just, I mean, he's only it's his second year and he already is he's the best player on the defense, really. I mean, wherever, you know, as you said, he does literally everything.
Yeah, I'm not ready to go there.
On this defense, I think, you know, when you don't have a Myles Garrett.
I would still say, well, I know, but I would still say Roquan's the best player on the defense.
Yeah.
But I get it. I think
for Mike McDonald, wherever Mike McDonald is next year, I think he should be looking at how he can poach Kyle Hamilton from the Ravens. He's got to figure out what he can do to keep Kyle Hamilton on his side. But yeah, Kyle Hamilton is my number 2.
I assume that means we probably have the same number 1.
I think so.
Look, Mike McDonald is my number 1, and I don't know how else to say it. The disguising is next level. The subterfuge, it's unbelievable. When Arthur Millette is making, you know, the game clinching play, and you never know where it's going to come from. It might be Broderick Washington on one play. Who again wasn't even active a week ago. It might be Travis Jones on one play. It's always Justin Madubuike, who's also on that short list of best defensive players on the team. It's just crazy to me, and how he uses Kyle Hamilton. That to me was a clinic from Mike McDonald, and probably a worst case scenario because it was on a primetime game and Sunday Night Football, and the entire league got to see it, and so. might not be around that much longer. But Mike Macdonald is my number one with a bullet.
Absolutely. I mean, he gets to pick where he wants to be coaching next year at this point. It may well be in that exact stadium. I'm not sure if the Chargers will want to go with another defensive coach.
Yeah, I don't think they go with defensive coach again.
But yeah, I mean, he is everything he's doing the rest of the way. It seems like just kind of icing on top of what he's done this last season and now this season. So Mike Macdonald, of course, is number one.
It's remarkable. All right, continue to get me yours. We will get them posted up a little bit later on at glennclarkradio.com at Pats on the Ass. When we come back in, our buddy Jeremy Conn will join us. See if he's ever had a situation like what I'm going through today. That's next. It is a Monday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
Why bet with the big boys this football season? Instead, try your hand with the local book, Superbook Sports, this fall. Superbook Sports is the book next door. Just a dedicated team of the best odds makers in Las Vegas, making sure you get the best prices and parlays anywhere. And now, Superbook will give you a bonus of up to $250 when you sign up and wager on the same day and use the promo code GlennClark23, GLENNCLARK23. So bet with the best and use the promo code GlennClark23 this football season with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
What's up, everyone? It's Tyus Bowser, and I've had so much fun hanging out with Rita and putting up with Glenn the last couple years that I've decided to do it again. Season 3 of the Tyus Bowser Show is happening this year, as we'll be all over town, giving you the chance to get to know me and some of my teammates. As we talk football, life in general, and just say what needs to be said. You can find out more about the show by going to PressBoxOnline.com/Bowser. If you don't live in the area, you can watch the shows live on Facebook and YouTube. And if you miss one, you can listen Friday nights at 105.7 The Fan. So we'll see you all season long for the Tyus Bowser Show, a partnership of PressBox and Great Ace Memorabilia.
There's so much focus on sports betting these days, but I want to talk about an area that nobody wants to gamble on, where you choose to go out and spend your hard-earned dollars to eat. The Costas Inn is no gamble at all. The quality on their menu is outstanding, and the value is off the charts with a great and varied list of specials Monday through Friday. And the staples of the menu, whether it's salads, burgers, fish, they're all fantastic. And I haven't even mentioned the crabs or crab cakes yet. So check out the menu for yourself at CostasInn.com. When choosing a place to dine, never gamble on the food you put in your belly. The Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard, or call 410-477-1975 for reservations and your steamed crab orders.
What company has the expertise to make your home healthier by purifying your air and killing all viruses, allergens, and bacteria? A.J. Michaels, Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis, ajmichaels.com.
Visit Harford County. Gear up for the holidays by supporting local with Small Business Saturday on November 25th. Take in the dazzling sights of the season with a Ledoux Christmas at Ledoux Topiary Gardens. Enjoy holiday lights, sing along to holiday songs, reserve a carriage ride, and sit on Santa's lap in Bel Air's Winter Wonderland, happening every Saturday from November 25th until December 16th. Nothing sparks that holiday joy quite like a festive parade. Head to visitharford.com and click on Events to see the full list of parades and so much more. In Maryland, you're welcome.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
Hey Ravens fans, looking for the perfect new game day brew? Get a Guilford, Baltimore's finest craft beer during the next home game at the bank. That's not all. Gather your flock next home game and check out Guilford Hall Brewery's brand new bar, the Gilly Nest, located near Section 505. No tickets? No problem. Enjoy all Ravens games all season long at our restaurant and brewery in Station North. Guilford Hall Brewery, European tradition, Baltimore charm.
Sure, Glenn may be in his 40s now, but he looks just as good as he ever has, and he's still as sharp as he ever was. And I say both those things without even a shred of irony. Find out for yourself right now by watching the show at facebook.com/PressBoxSports or youtube.com/PressBoxOnline.
If you have not picked up the new print issue of Press Box yet, you only have a couple more weeks to do it before it'll make way for our annual Best of issue. So make sure you get to your neighborhood Royal Farms today or any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find Press Box. It is the Todd Karpovich story about the survivors, the position players from the Dan Duquette regime that were held over into the current regime. You go get it right now at your neighborhood Royal Farms. All right, it is a Monday, and every Monday here on GCR, we welcome in our friend, host of the Big Bag Morning Show on 105.7 The Fan, ConcreteLocks.com, CONNCRETE, ConcreteLocks.com. He's our buddy Jeremy Conn, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Hey, pal, how you doing today?
Oh, man, it's I've seen better days. I've heard you're having one of those crazy ones because I can tell you sound a little different. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Am I ever having a weird day today? So you're the perfect person to talk about these things with. Have you ever had a circumstance? So this is the second time in my life where I have had this issue where my children have moved my keys and it is altered. The first time I was still able to get to work because I just took the light rail to the old office. Today, it actually kept me from being able to get to work. Have you ever had, or I guess maybe what's the weirdest reason that you've ever had for why you weren't able to get to work at some point?
Oh, man. I mean, I guess there's a few that you could point to. Like right now, I had one recently because my son and I are kind of sharing a car right now. He totaled the car that he had, and I'm not buying a new one until next year. I mean, I've got some things coming up, some big news on January 1st and all this stuff going on. Yeah, but and then I'll buy a car next year. But right now, we're going to manage it through the end of the year, and we'll share a car. So, like, he works overnight at the radio station. He comes home, and, like, immediately when I walk in the door, I put my keys on the island. And he does this thing where it's like, oh, I'm just going to go upstairs and go to sleep. And when he goes to sleep, you can't even wake him up if you lit his bed on fire. Like, he's just he's such a deep sleeper. So in the morning when I'm trying to rush out the door and I can't find my keys, I'm like, where the hell are my keys? Then I got to go bang on his door like, Peyton, do you have my keys? Huh? And he's like out of it, no idea what's going on. So that happens to me routinely and I lose my mind. But I've had those situations where kids are playing with something and they ultimately lose it. I mean, the phone is the easiest thing. You call it, you hope it's not dead. But like with keys, unless you have one of those finders on it, you're going to be searching. Yeah. Did you find them yet?
Yep. I'm no is the answer, by the way. No,
okay.
haven't.
Right.
And I did at one point get a tile for my keys. And because this happened once before. And then this is the old man in me, Jeremy. Like this is in the areas that I am the most old manish. I did not realize when I purchased the tile that it was like a subscription service. That you had to, I just thought you had it and now it was yours in perpetuity.
Yeah.
It was only for 1 year. You have to re-up the subscription every year, which again, I get it. You have to re-up your subscription to Netflix and Hulu and all these sort of things. But I didn't know that. I just thought I was purchasing a product from you and now it belonged to me. So when I found that out, I was so angry and I had felt so misled by the tile people that I said, a pox on you. I won't do it. To hell with that. I'm fine. I'll never need this. And so now here I am like a giant horse's ass because the old man in me was so bothered by the fact that I felt misled by the tile corporation.
Oh, man. See, and that sucks, though, to have to re-up. I mean, I feel like we've been okey-doked by a few companies on that where it's like, oh, yeah, I need this. And then you buy it, and it's like, what do you mean there's an attachment to it?
Right.
And then I got to re-up every year, like the McAfee antivirus software that you have to re-up all the time.
Just give me the viruses, man. I don't. Pat McAfee doesn't need any more of my money. He's already getting like $80 billion from ESPN. Why does he need my money? Son of a bitch. I'll fight the virus myself. So that's the first issue that I'm dealing with here. The second layer of it would be, in what ways as a man do you feel most inadequate? Because Griffin and I had this conversation earlier. When the show ends, I'm going to go searching for my keys again, but I've been searching for my keys all morning. I don't know what I do. Like, I'm not an adult here. I'm not sure what happens if at 4 o'clock today, I still haven't found my keys. Like, I have no idea what the next step in this process might be.
Well, you, my friend, are talking to the right guy because I also do not know what you're supposed to do. And I am a grown child and my wife handles everything. Like I was watching what stand-up? I think it was Nate Bargatze. Is it Bargatze?
Nate
or
Bargatze, absolutely. The water heater. Like,
yes.
now
He does the whole bit
tough
about
times
like
for water heaters.
Yeah, his wife does like everything, and like it's the same thing in my life. My wife pays. I have stuff that comes out of my bank account, but my wife pays our bills. So I live a really unique lifestyle as a grown child, and like weird things happen all the time with that. My wife fixes stuff around our house. Like we had people over last night for her family came over because her sister was going back to Colorado, and they're flying out to the airport. We live next to the airport, so we had people over. And I'm like, oh, man, the pellet stove. It'd probably be good to turn it on. So my wife's over there cleaning out the pellet stove and putting the pellets in. And that should be something that I know, but I don't even think to look at it because I'm never turning the thing on unless people are over. And if people are over, my wife's probably already handled it.
That by the way, the bigger problem in our household is that neither one, we're both grown children.
Oh, no.
Like we don't have a responsible adult in that. I'm supposed to be the responsible adult in our house, which is such
responsible
a bigger
adults
problem.
Don't put other people that aren't responsible adults in charge.
100%.
So you don't have one in your home.
It's also it's like the old man in A Christmas Story, right? Like at the height of his glory, that's when tragedy strikes. I was so proud of myself this weekend because I made a turkey for a Friendsgiving event, Jeremy, that was maybe the most perfect turkey that I've ever, not only have I ever made, it's one of the most perfect turkeys I've ever tasted. I was so proud of myself. I was like, look, I am a man. I can do
was this
things.
A bake or a fry or something else?
No, this was just in the oven turkey, but I seasoned it perfectly. I came up with a great rub for it. I used the Creole butter. Like I nailed it.
I'm coming up with a great rub right now thinking about this turkey.
Yeah, right. I'll give you some rub. And then I followed it. I had food accomplishments this weekend. And I was like, look, man, I am a man. I can do things that adults can do. And then I turn around and I can't come to work on Monday because I don't know where my keys are. And I'm like, right. Just a reminder of who you are as a person. Don't get happy because you are not that guy, Chief.
Yeah. And look, I get that totally. But the same thing you're talking about, like little things around my house that my wife does. And she's a fix-it. Like she fixed our washer. She fixed the dishwasher. Something happened to the stove and she did almost all of it and fixed it. And it still wasn't working. So we had to call a professional in because we realized it was out of her capabilities. We knew right off the bat when something was wrong, it was out of my capabilities of fixing it outside of making a phone call.
What are your wife's plans later today? Because I could use an adult.
I can see if she can come by and find those keys. Do you have a metal detector? I mean, is there any way to take that thing around or?
Oh, no, I don't think I have a metal detector anywhere. I'm laughing about it right now because the show is distracting me, but at 12:30, it's going to become not just a crippling issue in my life, as if I don't have 1,000 other things that I'm supposed to be dealing with today. All right, Jeremy Conn with us here on GCR. Normally, Jeremy, we have done picks recap by the time that you come on. But I was just thinking, would you want to go over picks recap with us this week? Would you be interested in that?
No, I never want to go over that this week.
No,
because I had like an awful week.
Okay, so I want to confirm, because it was asked of me by someone in our lives this weekend, if there was any chance that at this point in our contest, you were purposefully throwing the contest. And you had just accepted.
Let me be honest. So, I try to be as open and honest about gambling. I'm having one of the worst NFL years that I've ever had. And I talk about it. I'm a contrarian, so I don't bet with the public. And yesterday, it's another freaking NFL weekend where the public plays went 12-3 against the spread. They're murdering the board. Like the Ravens' backdoor touchdown last night. It's insane. Like all these games where I'm watching, I've found every single way to lose games. And it's become infuriating. I had like one of the worst Sundays ever. The only thing I got right in my picks on Sunday, I had Jacksonville. God, I had the over in the Atlanta game. You can see how close that was. 5 field goals by the other team. I had the Patriots, and I don't care what anybody says. DeVito didn't do anything in the game to win that game. The Patriots gave the damn thing away. I saw a statistic today that said if Mac Jones would have spiked the ball 21 times instead of actually throwing it, that he would have had a higher quarterback rating than what he had in that game. It feels like teams are purposely trying to lose games, and I'm the idiot that keeps betting on bad teams.
It was brought up Somebody said maybe Jeremy's making his picks because he knows he's got to make up ground, so he's just got to bet against everybody else. And Griffin and I talked about.
I think that works itself out in the end because I'm usually going to be against you, a lot of the guys anyway. So
right, because you bet against the public. I get it.
Yeah. So, and I'm not saying that it's not the right word to use. I'm not saying, I know more, and it's ultimately going to work out. Like I felt like it would, but these past 2 weeks have just been brutal in the NFL. Like watching the games yesterday, and you just see bad team after bad team find a way to lose. Like the Jets not covering 9.5 at home. They threw a Hail Mary pick 6. I had people saying, "Oh my God, I can't believe you bet on the Jets." I'm like, well, there's a reason there's a point spread, guys. There's a reason why, like the Bears when they hadn't won a game all year beat Washington, and the Giants when they stink they beat Washington. Yeah. But wait a minute, maybe I just need to bet against Washington. That's it.
Yeah, just keep betting against Washington permanently, and you'll be. Well, we didn't include that obviously the Thanksgiving games in our picks this week.
I'm glad you didn't. I was even worse on Thanksgiving.
So. Oh Jesus!
Yeah, the public was 5-1 on Thanksgiving with the sides. Everybody bet all the overs. They bet the Cowboys, they bet the 49ers, and they bet the Lions. And the Lions was the only loss by the public on Thursday.
Wow. Yeah.
It's been an ugly week.
Man.
Like, I'm just miserable. So, and now I get to eat haggis and dance and sing. So
yeah, right. We've got that to look forward to. Like we've got a lot to look.
You haven't done the add up yet to see how far I am back, or do you know that you're just busting my balls?
Jeremy, I do know that you are. You're 22 games back.
How many weeks? I'm gonna make this up. Watch.
All right. I love that. Well, hang on.
Are we doing bowl games too? Do we go into March Madness? How long does this go?
This goes through the Super Bowl. So yes, we will do. We'll do this week. We'll do another full slate. We'll do 3 championship games. Then until the end of the regular season, we'll either do all NFL games or a combination of like Army Navy week. We'll do Army Navy, and then we'll do 8 NFL games. There will be 9 games to pick for as many weeks as there are 9 games to pick. But once we get to the point of the playoffs where there's no longer enough combination bowl games, championship games, or playoff games, we just pick the rest of the playoff games. And I mean, like, I don't, Jeremy, I can't say mathematically you're eliminated, but
yeah, I mean, there could be one of these weeks where I get, like, again, being contrarian, it's quicker to catch up that way by being against it, but it's also easier to fall back if things keep going the public's way. Yeah. But yeah, like it's one of those weekends too where I start looking at things and I don't want to change how I do it because it's the only way I'm going to get back in it. You know, like it's been really strange, but that's still a lot of games. I just don't like the way this season's going. I'm not feeling confident. And look, I try to be as open and honest. This is one of the worst football seasons I've had in the past 15 years. And it hasn't been all bad, but like my favorite plays of the week, not hitting. This week I had the Bills. I gave it out at +3.5 in the middle of the week. It goes to 3 at game time, so I don't even know if the people won or pushed or whatever. But I end up losing that game that I led almost the entire time. So yeah, it's been an awful NFL season.
That's rough. That is rough. All right, what do you make of just broadly the way that we're talking about the Ravens? Like, they won, and they're 9-3, and they've had to do a lot of traveling, and they've been through a lot injury-wise, and yet they're 9-3, and yet here we are after every game still losing our minds about decisions to not challenge the one that they did challenge. Like, thinking that everything. How do we talk responsibly about what the Ravens are versus what they aren't?
Well, I mean, first off, one of the big problems I have, and I say this all the time, like when you win on the road, I try not to criticize you as much. It's very difficult to win on the road in this league. That being said, they had 10 days to get ready for this game. The offense to me looked horrendous. I know the Chargers defense got a little healthy, but they lost Joey Bosa. From the standpoint of just looking at it on paper, this should have been a game that they just walked in and won. And some people may say, well, that's exactly what they did. Okay, but like, should they have dominated this game? And with all the turnovers and everything that they got, yeah, they should have absolutely dominated the game. I'm wondering, and I don't mean this to come across the wrong way because I like John Harbaugh, but like, there's like everything is fine when they're winning. Like, oh my God, it's the best team. I'm so proud of the guys. And when they're losing, we just got to go back and look at it. We got to go back and look at it. We don't ever get answers from it. And like, we need an answer to why the hell did you not challenge these plays? And why did you pick to challenge that one? How is there not some level of, I don't know, an expert upstairs? It doesn't have to be an expert. It has to be somebody with 2 eyes that works somewhat to say, yes, that's worth challenging and that's not. And I don't know how they don't get those messages. And it was alarming because Mike Tomlin said the same thing on the sideline. He's like, I didn't have a good angle to see the play to challenge it. And everybody's like, well, why do you have to have the angle? Isn't there someone upstairs that's watching the TV to see it up close and personal and say, hey, yep, challenge this or don't? It just seems really weird to me.
Look, I have talked about this before. There's a lot going on in a short amount of time, but that's why the communication has to be like the thing that you do the absolute best, right? And look, I've got other problems with this. This goes back to the issue that I have. Jeremy, I scream about this all the time. I think it's shameful that in football, in the NFL level, the coaches have to officiate the games instead of the officials. And it's a weird thing because I do think John Harbaugh should be criticized, but at the same time, it's insanity that this has to be handled by the coaches instead of the officials being the ones to get the plays right, which isn't just that they missed it on the field. It's that how do we still in 2023 not have a system by which all of us are watching at home, all of us can see what happened, and there's no apparatus for anyone involved in the game to say, whoa, hold up, we might have gotten that one wrong. Let's get it fixed. And I get that we're going to scream about John Harbaugh, and we should scream about John. Like, it's nuts. It's insanity based on what you're asked to do. But we have to have both conversations. And the NFL, at some point, has to be willing to say, hey, why is it that at the college level, they can get this right? And the coaches who have 60 other things they have to worry about during the course of the game, they don't have to be the ones to officiate the game. We understand that our officials should officiate the game. It's badass that we've been doing this for decades, and we continue to do this.
It's been that. It's been officiating. It's bad quarterback play. It's really bad quarterback play because, like, again, it's going to be sour grapes for me talking about the Patriots because I had them. I loved them this weekend. I thought they were just going to run roughshod over the Giants, who needed 5 turnovers to barely beat Washington last week, with DeVito getting sacked 9 times. By the way, he was sacked so many times in this game. A couple of them they didn't count because they said he took off running. There were 2 where he was tackled and he actually got positive yards. So I know it doesn't count as a sack. That kid can't play football. He's awful. And they got 10 points off of 4 turnovers, and that won in the damn game. It was so ridiculous watching that. And I watched the game from Bill Belichick, who I consider to be one of the best coaches in the league, or in the history of the league. Like, try to go out there and call a play on 4th down to get them to jump off sides. They don't. And this idiot calls a timeout instead of taking a 5-yard penalty and punting the ball to him. Why are you wasting a timeout in the first half? I don't think teams are trying to win. I think teams are trying to lose. It just doesn't make sense what we're seeing right now.
All right. You're right. And by the way, that's why it also goes back to, and I saw somebody tweet about this last night, like the insanity of, hey, you guys remember that Lamar Jackson was at least kind of available this offseason. Yeah. And y'all were like, we'll go with Mac.
Look at that.
Yeah, Mac Jones, Aiden O'Connell, Tommy DeVito. Those were your answers instead. It's really bonkers. Can I offer you one thing that might be the most bonkers story of the week and nobody's talking about it?
Yes.
You, of course, know that Talia Tungavailoa this weekend became the Big Ten's all-time leader in passing yards.
Yes, I did, because I was on Rutgers on Saturday, so I found that out abruptly.
Well, what if I told you that he's maybe not actually the Big Ten's all-time leader in passing yards?
Really?
Dude, no one is talking about this, but it is maybe the most insane story that I have ever heard in my entire life. Apparently, according to the sports information director at Purdue, apparently the Big Ten in 2 different places lists 2 different career passing yards totals for Drew Brees, because one of them includes his bowl game tally and the other one doesn't, because apparently at one point in either Big Ten or college football history, they did not include bowl games in someone's career yards total. It didn't count for your season or career statistics. Well, they changed that at some point. And so Talia Tungavailoa's career total includes his bowl games. And if that's the case, presumably you would have to include the bowl games that everybody else played in. And yet, they apparently haven't updated it. So they had all of this pomp and circumstance over the weekend to celebrate the fact that Talia Tagovailoa is now the Big Ten's all-time leading passer, when the truth is he's not.
What are we even doing?
Dude, it's
this is one of the.
insanity.
It's absolutely ridiculous that ball gets dropped and that they're talking about that and bringing that up as if it's factual. It's kind of like you look at some of the big screw ups. I'm sure you saw it too. You've seen the Miami game on Friday, and then the company that said if there was a 99-yard or longer touchdown, that they would give away $1 million in free TVs for Black Friday. And then we have the Hail Mary pick six for 99 yards.
Yep.
Oh my God.
That happened.
Like, can you imagine that?
Dude, I can't get over this. Like, I can't get over this. Nobody is talking about this thing. But he's still 536 yards behind. Like, it's not just that he's not the all-time leader. He doesn't really even have a chance to make it up in the bowl game. Like, there's almost no chance he'll be able to become the Big Ten's all-time leader, and there's essentially just no response. Like, it's just we said he was the leader. So, dude, it is what a bizarro world we're living in, man. Like,
so what do we do? Do we do the good try, good effort kid from the Miami Heat game? Is that what we're doing now?
Try.
Like, hey,
good try, good effort.
Or do we just watch Maryland go balls to the wall, like full on running, and throwing every down?
Well, it was funny because after the game, I just sort of assumed that he wouldn't play in their bowl game. And so when he announced that he was gonna play in the bowl game, and let me be clear, Talia Tagovailoa, that family, they're a little bit different. Like, that commitment is a big thing to them, and maybe even if there was no discrepancy, he would still choose to play in the bowl game. But the fact that he is playing when nothing is guaranteed to him as far as the NFL draft is concerned, right? Like, that dude has a lot of work to do in order to have an opportunity in the NFL. The fact that he's committed to playing in the bowl game, when I saw this story, I was like, oh, maybe they know. Like, maybe they realize that in the next couple of weeks, someone's going to ask a question and they're going to have work to do, which would be hilarious. Like, and I wouldn't put it past Mike Locksley at all to say, we owe it to this kid. This is the only quarterback that's ever been willing to play here. Like, we're going to throw the ball 1 billion times in a bowl game because it's also a bowl game. Who the F cares, right? Like,
I mean, are we going to be in the Polander Weed Eater Bowl or
correct.
Texas
The
Alamo Bowl?
Bowl? No doubt, man. They wish they were in the Alamo Bowl. The Alamo Bowl's half a real game. Man. What a bizarro world story. All right, everything else good with you, dude?
Yeah, I mean, things are good. It's a busy time of year. I keep going back to the NFL and watching it. Like, I'm excited that we got all these other things to bet on, like college football and basketball. Like, college hoops is here now, and it's been really, those things have been really kind to me. But it's not even about just the winning and losing. It's just about how the games have gone. Like, you're watching it, and it's like, I'm not one. I look at things that are too easy, and I'm going the opposite way because something stinks. Right now, everything's too easy because it's too easy. Like, everybody that's picking, that team's going to win. All the favorites are winning. It's been a really weird time of year. Yesterday, I think all the 13-2 overall in the NFL against the spread, the public was. So crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't seem right. But it is also part of it. I think we've sat here every time we've done picks and been like, this feels like a trap. Like, this feels wrong. And yet, here we are. All right, what's coming up on the Big Bad Morning Show this week?
Yeah, so look, leaning into the Ravens bye week, I mean, it'll be a lot of talk, and then now you're seeing all this stuff, a bunch of signings in Major League Baseball. So I'm sure we're getting some Orioles talk, and then little college hoops pretty soon. I know, Coach. When we look at Maryland basketball, we're going to get Coach on, and we'll have Kevin on and talk a lot with him about what's going on with the team. So it should be a good week.
Would you have done 2 years, $24 million for Kenta Maeda?
No.
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of his. He missed too many bats. He had to stay healthy. I didn't like any of the signings really just yet.
Yeah, I'm largely with you, and yet at the exact same time, and it's the same thing I said about Kyle Gibson. Like, I was completely okay with the Orioles moving on from Kyle Gibson. I just worry that ultimately the answer that they have won't actually be better than Kyle Gibson. Like, that's my eternal kind of concern with the Orioles, that we say, yep, we can always justify the moves they don't make, and then we find it difficult to justify the moves that they do. Like, that's always what I worry about in those circumstances, but we will see.
I get it totally, man. And like Kenta he may have fit here with the Orioles defense in this ballpark and been okay, like been good. So there's a lot of pitchers that you might have to look at and kind of grade them on a curve coming to a better ballpark. Kind of like I thought Kyle Gibson's makeup fit here in Baltimore, even though he's at the back end of his career.
At JCon Sports on Twitter is how you follow him. And, of course, Big Bag Morning Show and 105.7 The Fan, and Concrete Locks with 2 N's, concretelocks.com.
And guess who I'm taking tonight? Am I taking the Bears plus the points or the Vikings?
I'm guessing you're taking the Bears plus the points.
Let's go get weird and just get silly with it. That's it. I'm on the Bears.
We'll see. Hey, I'm going to be announcing some details for our charity drive that I'll be hitting you up about. And we got to pick a date for an annual drinking show this year. So we'll figure that out and make that happen. Always love you, buddy. Appreciate you. We'll talk soon. All right.
All right, man. I'll see you.
It's Jeremy Conn with us here on GCR. Yeah, I need to finalize. I wanted to do it over the weekend. I just didn't get the opportunity to. I was hoping that I was going to do it today, although now apparently I'm going to lose my entire day searching for keys. Fun. That's exactly how I wanted to spend my day. But it's going to be simple. $25 to get in for did I say 25? Did I do that math right? Yeah, 25, right? Yeah, 25. $25 to get in for your spot in the raffle. And I know, and I've shown you the helmet that's going to be the top prize. And I think I know what the next prize is. Oh, Griffin's looking for it. It's in the studio there somewhere. I think I know what the next prizes are going to be, but I have to confirm them today. So I will make sure that I do that. And then tomorrow is Giving Tuesday. There you go. That's the helmet. It's got a bunch of autographs on it already. Pat Ricard's on there, and Tyus Bowser's on there, and Justin Is that Justin Matabike? Yeah, Justin Matabike's on there. And there will be more to come for sure. I thought, did we see that Brandon Stevens was on there? And I was confused because I was like, I don't think we've had Brandon Stevens out for a show. Is that who that is? Griffin's going to look at it and try to get that answer. I feel like there's also one that's even more random than that. I feel like there might be still like a Dalen Hayes autograph on there from somewhere. Like when the helmet was given to me, that Dalen Hayes autograph was on it.
Looks like is that a Ben Cleveland 66?
What's that?
99. Is that a no?
Oh, Owe? Was Owe on there?
No,
that might be the case.
Or unless it's 79. You know what? We will figure it out.
All right, we should look into that. We should try to get those answers. I'm putting you on that assignment today. I want to know who all signed that helmet so far, because I think we're going to be able to get a few more on it before we end up giving it to the winner. But I need you to get in for that. Giving Tuesday is tomorrow, so I need you to get your raffle tickets. That's a big priority for me, and that goes to raise $2,500 every year for the Helping Up mission as we help them get toiletries and underwear. And Brian Powell just texted me, yes, we will, on Sunday when the bowl games are announced, we will have our Bowl Pick'em contest go live, with the goal there being to raise another $350. That would get us to $3,000 even between the three different things. So I want you to do both, truth be told. I want you to both get in for the raffle, and I want you to get in for the Bowl Pick'em. But the raffle is what we're going to try to knock out this week, and then on Sunday we'll knock out the Bowl Pick'em. All right? So that's the thing. I want you to be thinking about that as we help us helping up. Let's just go ahead and go over picks. We can do this fairly quickly because we already handled. The problem is Jeremy, and it's essentially locked up. Like, there's almost no chance that Jeremy – I know we've said that a few times, but how about if I told you that everyone in our league went at least 500 this week, except for one person who went 1-7? That's where we're at.
Yeah.
That's where we're at with Jeremy Conn. All right, quickly. Picks Recap is brought to you this week by Superbook. That's who provided us all of the lines for picks. And as Jeremy mentioned, 3 points tonight. That's the number. The Bears, 3-point dogs. I still like the Vikings. I know that Jeremy would say you're not supposed to bet with the public, but it's been working really well, and I'm not going to go away from it. So I like the Vikings tonight. You sign up with Superbook. Use the code GlennClark23. When you do, you'll receive up to $250 in a same-day first bet match. Win or lose. Superbook.com, download the Superbook app. Maryland covered comfortably against Rutgers. Only Jeremy and Griffin
were
on Rutgers in that one.
Good for them.
And yes, dude, this thing with Talia Tagovailoa, I'm writing about Leah today because I wanted to write about some of the stuff we talked about last week where I had people trying to tell me that Talia was the greatest quarterback in Maryland history. And it's so hyperbolic and not true that I feel like it ends up missing the story that is worthy of being told about Talia Tagovailoa. So I wrote something lengthy over the weekend since it was going to be too late last night for me to write about the Ravens after the game. I wrote about Leah. That'll be up today at PressBoxOnline.com. But in writing about it, I discovered this bizarro I mean, this is insane. Bat ass. And it feels like the Big Ten's ultimate answer is just shrug emoji. Like, well, we said he had the most, so that's it. But if Talia Tagovailoa's bowl games count, then Drew Brees' bowl games have – like, you don't just get to retroactively say, like, well, bowl games only count. It's bizarre, man. It's really bizarre. But I guess the Big Ten's going to say that Talia Tagovailoa is the all-time leading passer. So good for him. It's weird, dude. It's very weird. Oregon comfortably handled Oregon State. That one was never – of all of the rivalry games this weekend that were, like, strangely close, obviously the Auburn-Alabama thing was wild. Like, wild. Even Washington State, all of those games were really close. Oregon State was not. And Oregon, there's a reason why they are big favorites over Washington in the rematch in the Pac-12 title game.
What's that line at right now?
What's that?
What's that line at right now?
I think I saw it was at like 9 or something like that.
Gosh.
Like,
wow.
Yeah, big favorites. So myself, Griffin, Kyle, KZ, John and Little Rock, and Nick Kelly all got the point for Oregon. Ohio State, Michigan, again, a lot of controversy on the touchdown. Was it a touchdown? Was it an interception? Ends up making a big difference. Ohio State did get the ball back with a chance still. Two things. First of all, Ryan Day, very stupid. Very stupid. If you just give up a first down on Michigan's final drive, then you get the cover, and the alumni aren't mad at you. Instead, you lost, and the alums are pissed off at you. I don't think that Ohio State will fire Ryan Day, but
if he had covered, it might have increased his odds.
I think
sticking around,
getting fired.
I'm sticking around.
Oh yeah, I think that the alums might not have been as furious at him, but they did get the ball back, down by 6 with a chance, and of course the interception changed that as Kyle McCord just heaved one up off his back foot, and that was that. So Paul Valley, Kyle Ottenheimer. Of course, that was the difference for Kyle in having the best week of the year, or the best, not best week of the year, the best of everybody this week was he was on Michigan, as were Andrew Stetka and Jeremy Conn. The Black Friday game, obviously Jeremy brought it up. The hilarity of the Fail Mary stands out significantly, but mostly it just stands out that the Jets don't have a quarterback. And whenever everybody's like clamoring for a quarterback change, I know that the thought process, well, it can't get worse. It can always get worse. They're going to go with Tim Boyle again next week, while Aaron Rodgers is still feigning like he's going to come back. It is a bizarro world. John and Little Rock, KZ, Nick Kelly, and Jeremy Conn were all on the Jets in that one. Cincinnati-Pittsburgh. That was a game that was not compelling because it wasn't good football, but it was close and it was tight. And you just kept wondering if maybe Jake Browning had like one more drive in him. He didn't. Pittsburgh wins 16-10, so they stay alive in the AFC playoff race. Only John Proctor and Jeremy Conn were on Cincinnati. Jacksonville-Houston was awesome. Oh, what a game that was. Some terrible officiating involved in that game, like some truly dreadful officiating.
Quite a theme throughout the state.
Yeah. Yep, you're not wrong about that. Ultimately, Jacksonville does hang on there, and they win and cover the 1.5. Only John Proctor, KZ, and Nick Kelly were on Jacksonville. Cleveland, Denver, I didn't watch any because I was enthralled by the Buffalo-Philadelphia thing, so I didn't watch any of this game. I couldn't tell you anything about it other than that Denver ended up winning comfortably. I know Thompson Robinson got hurt again, right?
And so everyone thinks that may be paving the way for a Joe Flacco
might be the
starts.
Joe Flacco show. Might be. We'll see. Cleveland backers were Jeremy, Andrew, Ryan Shell, and John in Little Rock. Everything ended up being a push, Buffalo and Philly. Great game, but like you could just sense Josh Allen like knew when they didn't score a touchdown in overtime. He just knew, like, well, there it goes. Speaking of which, by the way, my kids watched Good Burger 2 over the weekend and loved it. So, in fact, they loved it so much they demanded I show them Good Burger 1, which, like, they weren't because they didn't know who Shaq was. That was actually quite disheartening. They watched Good Burger 1. They're like, "What? Why do they care?" I'm like, it's Shaquille O'Neal. But a push for everybody on Buffalo Philly as the Eagles win by 3 in overtime. And yeah, Jeremy Conn was the only one on the Chargers and looked like he was going to steal a lone wolf pick. God bless you, Zay Flowers. Best, worst decision ever. So for the week, Kyle Ottenheimer with the high water mark, 7-1 for the week. Myself, Paul Valley, as well as Ken Zales, and also Nick Kelly, all 6-2. Andrew Stecca, 5-3. Same for John Proctor and for our own Griffin Bass. And normally you'd feel really good about going 5-3, but it was a good week for everybody. 4-4 weeks for Ryan Shell and for John and Little Rock. And of course, at the bottom of the table, Jeremy Conn, 1-7 on the week. So now for the year, new leader at the top of the table. Your boy, Glenn Clark. So might not have keys,
but he can pick a football game.
Now. I sit at the top of the table, 64-48 on the year, but I'm only one game in front of a group. John and Little Rock, KZ, and Nick Kelly all one game back. Andrew Stecca is 2 games back. John Proctor and Kyle Ottenheimer 3 games back. So a good bunch of us. There's 7 of us, all within 3 games at the top of the table. And then there's everybody else. Right now, the race for the Scott Stapp position. It's a tie between Ryan Shell and our pal Griffin Bass. So you did make up a game on him. You got that going for you, which is nice. To move into a tie, Paul Valley 1 game clear of that duo in the fight for Scott Stapp position. And then there's Jeremy Conn, who should be signing up for his Irish dance lesson immediately because he is definitely going to be the loser for the season. And as I've been brought up before, from a percentage, it's not even about the fact that he got into the contest late. He would be losing no matter what, as he has gotten just 44% of his games right, and everybody else is at least 500 for the year. So that's where we're at, picks-wise, after week 12. We come back in, we'll get a tidbit and 2-bit to wrap it up, and then hopefully I'll find my keys. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
Hey Ravens fans, looking for the perfect new game day brew? Get a Guilford, Baltimore's finest craft beer during the next home game at the bank. That's not all. Gather your flock next home game and check out Guilford Hall Brewery's brand new bar, the Gilly Nest, located near Section 505. No tickets? No problem. Enjoy all Ravens games all season long at our restaurant and brewery in Station North. Guilford Hall Brewery, European tradition, Baltimore charm.
Come for a game, stay for everything else. Book an unforgettable fall getaway in Charm City. Enjoy only in Baltimore festivals, mouthwatering eats, and endless entertainment. Treat yourself to a staycation in the heart of downtown, or try one of the city's many charming neighborhood hotels. And don't miss out on packages for free parking, breakfast, and more. Plan your stay at baltimore.org/hotels.
Why bet with the big boys this football season? Instead, try your hand with the local book, Superbook Sports, this fall. Superbook Sports is the book next door. Just a dedicated team of the best odds makers in Las Vegas, making sure you get the best prices and parlays anywhere. And now, Superbook will give you a bonus of up to $250 when you sign up and wager on the same day and use the promo code GlennClark23, GLENNCLARK23. So bet with the best and use the promo code GlennClark23 this football season with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
6 chicken tenders made from fresh, never frozen Royal Farms world-famous chicken, a family-sized order of Western fries, honey mustard dipping sauce, and a 2-liter bottle of Dr. Pepper. It's Royal Farms' new Tucker's Tenders Meal. It's Justin Tucker's favorite, and at only $19.99, it'll be your favorite meal, too. The new Tucker's Tenders Meal, available only at Royal Farms. Now you can kick back, relax, and eat like a champion. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
What's up, everyone? It's Tyus Bowser, and I've had so much fun hanging out with Rita and putting up with Glenn the last couple years that I've decided to do it again. Season 3 of the Tyus Bowser Show is happening this year, as we'll be all over town, giving you the chance to get to know me and some of my teammates. As we talk football, life in general, and just say what needs to be said. You can find out more about the show by going to PressBoxOnline.com/Bowser. If you don't live in the area, you can watch the shows live on Facebook and YouTube. And if you miss one, you can listen Friday nights at 105.7 The Fan. So we'll see you all season long for the Tyus Bowser Show, a partnership of PressBox and Great Ace Memorabilia.
What company has the expertise to make your home healthier by purifying your air and killing all viruses, allergens, and bacteria? A.J. Michaels, Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis, ajmichaels.com.
Make sure you're tuned in every Tuesday for PressBox fantasy football analyst Joe Serpico to get you ready for your Waiver Wire Wednesday, brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel. And if you have other fantasies you want fulfilled, subscribe to Glenn and Jeremy Conn's OnlyFans page at... Wait, are people supposed to know about that?
Hey, if you missed it, the new version of the Bat Around debuted this past Saturday. We're going to keep working on how we can make that even better. But in the meantime, you'll always be able to watch it at facebook.com/PressBoxSports. And hopefully we'll be able to expand that and give you some other ways to take in the Bat Around. But good to have the new version of the show launched. And Paul and Ryan Blake will be talking with you every Saturday. Talking baseball throughout the offseason and moving forward. So we look forward to that, and we are glad that that will continue, those guys talking baseball here at PressBox. All right, Griffin, remind me, what do I still have any reads that I have to do at this point?
I think we want to remind the people about the our good friends at Toyota. And
oh, yes. Yeah. The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines, so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today. You got a tidbit for us?
I do, yeah. I got a couple. So last night, I'll start with this one, Zay Flowers. He scored a touchdown, a rushing and receiving touchdown. He scored all of his team's touchdowns and scored more points than the entire opposing team. No other rookie wide receiver in NFL history has accomplished all three of those things in a single game. In a single season, let alone all in one game. So that was from OptaStats, scoring and rushing and receiving.
It would seem far more likely for it to happen in a game than it would be in a season. Like in a season, you'd have to score all of your team's touchdowns.
In one game. Yeah, I see what you're saying. But
I'm not sure how that was supposed to be worded, but it feels like it was worded incorrectly.
All right. Well, Zay Flowers did that.
I mean, good for Zay Flowers. I just don't know what they mean by a season.
Did you see? Okay, moving on. Did you see any of Friday's Nebraska-Iowa game?
No, I did not see any.
It was miserable. It was miserable. Fourth quarter was extremely entertaining. I do recommend go watching the fourth quarter if you ever have absolutely nothing to do. But Iowa won 13-10 over Nebraska. It was their fourth win this season when scoring 15 or fewer points. That is the most such wins in a season, scoring less than 15 points since 1991, when both Alabama and Ball State both had 4 such wins as well.
Hey.
So Iowa just putting up, a crazy number, setting records for over/under totals.
What a world.
The Cowboys, with their win over the Commanders, they became the first team in NFL history to win their first 5 games of the season. Their first five home games of the season by 20 points each. As they
first 5 home games of the season. Wow, that is. Look, I get it. The competition's not that great, but still.
The team that they beat, the Commanders, teams that had 100 rushing yards, 250 passing yards, 35 minutes of time of possession, and no more than 25 penalty yards and no more than 1 turnover, had been 57-0 over the last 25 seasons. The Commanders, of course, did all of those things and lost by 35 to the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving.
So bizarre. That's so bizarre.
The OptiStats also pointed, or no, our friends at NFL Research pointed this one out. CeeDee Lamb is the only player on the Cowboys with more touchdowns than DaRon Bland. He has 7. DaRon Bland has 5.
Good. Okay. I mean, that's kind of remarkable.
C.J. Stroud became the first rookie in NFL history with 300 passing yards in 4 straight games. 4 straight games with 300 passing yards for C.J. Stroud. And then Kyren Williams, he became the first player in NFL history with 140 rushing yards in back-to-back games played in a season against the same opponent, because he played the Cardinals right before landing on IR.
Oh, right, yeah.
And had 140 yards.
And
then had 158 yesterday. Also, first game, again, just arbitrary here, but he is the first player in NFL history with 140 rushing yards, 6 catches, 60 receiving yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns.
I feel really good about not starting him.
Ooh, that stuff definitely helped me get a big win over the team that was in first place in my league. So thank you, Kyron.
Oh, did it though? Good for you.
You mentioned Talia, obviously, I guess, moving into second, or was he already in second then in career passing?
Well, they're saying, the Big Ten is saying he is number 1. It's just that they might be wrong.
Someone else on Maryland moved themselves into Maryland lore. Ja'Shawn Jones picked up his 2,000th receiving yard as a Maryland Terrapin. He became the 8th Terp with 2,000 receiving yards. Can you name the other 7 Terps with 2,000 receiving yards?
I'll assume Stephon Diggs.
Stephon Diggs is number 2 on the list. 2,200.
G. Royce Simon.
G. Royce Simon is on the list. He is 5th.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Is it all wide receiver? Like is Vernon Davis?
Vernon Davis is not in the.
Okay.
He has not reached the 2,000
right.
mark. He had.
All right.
Where was he? He was high up, but he was not in the top 8. No, he was 19th. 1,300 for Vernon Davis.
Jermaine Lewis.
Jermaine Lewis. He is number 1, 2,932 yards, the all-time leading receiver for the Terrapins.
I didn't realize it was that much. Jesus, that's crazy. Although, I'm inclined to just guess all the good ones, right? Like DJ Moore.
DJ Moore is on the list. He is right behind G. Roy Simon, 6th.
Did I say Torrey?
You did not say Torrey yet. He is 3rd.
Torrey.
2,200 as well, just behind Stephon Diggs.
How about Hayward Bay?
Darius Hayward Bay, right behind Torrey. He is 4th on the list. So you have
how many am I missing?
You're missing 1 more.
Rakim Jarrett.
Not Rakim Jarrett. Jarrett had 1,500. He is 16th on the list.
Oh, wow. Jesus. Stinks. Wow. It gets kind of bleak, right? There's guys that were really good, and then there's everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that if it's not, again, we convicted it's not a tight end, so it's not Frank Wycheck.
It is not Frank Wycheck. Wycheck, where was he on this list?
Eesh.
I will find Wycheck. He had 1,100, yeah. He had 27.
Okay.
He had less than Corey Dyches.
How about that? Well, I mean, they didn't throw the ball quite as much back then, so they also. I get. Oh, okay, so Dante Demas.
Dante Demas. He rounds out.
The
2,000.
I literally had not. If I hadn't said the words, they didn't throw the ball quite as much then. I wouldn't have gotten there because it made me say, "Oh, just guess the most recent."
Yes.
Like, just go that route.
So that is the company that Ja'Shawn Jones joins. Well done.
I guess the good news about that is it was all of the logical names.
Right.
All of the names that you expected were on the list, so I do appreciate that. All right. Tubular, we don't have to. We got through everything. I don't have the sheet in front of me.
Yes, we have gotten through everything.
All right, very good. Tubular is brought to you by me, your pal GC. Look how badly I wanted to be here for you. Even though my life could be in shambles and I might not be able to get anywhere, I still made sure that I could deliver a show for you. You're welcome. That's oh, you know what? Actually, before we do that, son of a bitch, I forgot I had some tidbit stuff today, Griffin.
Oh. Right.
I screwed this up. My fault. I wanted to share with you. Okay. This is from Ruben Frank of NBC Sports Philly. Jalen Hurts is now 33-12 in 45 career starts. There are only 6 quarterbacks in NFL history with more wins in their first 45 starts.
There are only how many more with more wins?
6. 6
I
quarterbacks.
will say Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson, 36-9, third on the list.
Patrick Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes, second on the list, 37-8.
I would think that Marino won a lot when he started, or did he
Dan
not?
Marino is certainly on the list,
Okay.
34-11. He is sixth.
I feel like because I can't remember how his rookie year went, but or I know his second year. Big Ben.
No, Ben Roethlisberger is not on the list. I don't know where he would be, but he did not win at least 34.
To win at least 34 in their first 45 starts.
There's a more surprising one to me that's not on the list.
There's a surprising one that's not on the list.
Yeah.
That would be because Kurt Warner's not on the list.
No, Kurt Warner is on the list.
Oh, that's what I meant. He is on the list.
35-10.
Two more.
And they're both older guys, so you're not going to get them. Yeah. Tom Brady is not on the list, which is the surprising one to me. I was like, what? Didn't they like they? But no, Tom Brady's not on the list.
So then Montana, Joe Montana.
Nope.
Darn.
Nope.
Older guys.
One of these guys you might get. One of these guys you could be here for a year and you'd never get him. So I'll just go ahead and tell you because it's 12:26.
Troy Aikman.
And I got to find my keys. No, no. I'm telling you.
Roger Staubach.
39-6. Most wins in their first 45 starts. Daryl LaMonica.
Yeah. Okay.
Daryl LaMonica.
He was on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, sure. Also 35-10.
When I said Lamar, I meant to say LaMonica.
Right, LaMonica. I know. They're very LAM. I understand. Ken Stabler also on the list. So I don't think you would have gotten that one either.
I guess I wouldn't have
and then I don't know how I never realized this. But did you know, Griffin, that there is only one player in NFL history to have both 40 rushing touchdowns and 40 receiving touchdowns in their career? And do you know who that player is?
I mean, I would feel like just because of recency bias, I want to say McCaffrey, but if it had been him, I feel like I would have seen that or something. So I'll say 40 rushing. I'll say Gale Sayers.
Not Gale Sayers.
What? Is it McCaffrey?
It's not McCaffrey.
40 receiving and rushing. And because I don't think Jamal Charles wasn't like he didn't. It wasn't Jamal Charles.
Not Jamal Charles.
40 receiving and 40 rushing. Man. Is it Austin Eckler? I feel like
it's not Austin Eckler.
Are they a modern like player? Are they very modern?
They are not a modern player.
Jim Brown.
In fact, it's not Jim Brown. This player celebrated his 90th birthday over the weekend.
Wow. They didn't celebrate it enough. Darn it.
Yeah, apparently you didn't catch wind of it.
I didn't.
This player is quite possibly the greatest human that we've ever known here in our community. He is the great Lenny Moore. Lenny Moore turned 90 this weekend. And I don't know how all the things that I've known about Lenny Moore, I never knew he was the only player in the history of the game with 40 rushing and 40 receiving touchdowns in his career. Happy birthday, Lenny Moore. Love you. Love you. Eternally love you. You are the best. All right. Here's what's coming up totally tubular-wise. Tubular for tonight, of course. We wrap up Week 12, Bears and Vikings, 8:15. This one, the Mannings decided to take this one off. They said, we're good. We'll pass on that. 8:15 on ESPN and ABC. UMBC hoops in action at Hampton tonight at 7 on Flow Sports. By the way, big news today in the CAA, Griffin. Did you see?
I did see Delaware. They're
Delaware.
getting the boot.
Well, no, I think they're booting themselves. They're apparently moving up. They are going FBS in football, which
2025
kind of seismic. Yeah. Kind of seismic,
Yeah,
honestly. But that was big news. Only Big Ten hoops team in action tonight. Wisconsin at 7 against Western Illinois on Big Ten Network. Everything else college basketball-wise, find at GlennClarkRadio.com Monumental, Wizards, Pistons at 7. NBA TV, Lakers, Sixers at 7. Nuggets, Clippers, 10:30. Monumental 2 for Capital Sharks at 10:30. USA for Fulham and Wolverhampton Wanderers at 3. Did you see, I don't remember who it was, did you see the goal that Man U scored over the weekend?
No, I didn't. I
Dude, I've seen a lot of goals in my life, and I wish I could remember who it was that scored it because I want to make sure. Garnacho. No, who is it? That's not who it is. Yeah, Garnacho, right? Is that who it is?
I saw his name when I searched it. Hold on, I want to see this goal.
Dude, yes. Holy hell. It's one of the most remarkable things that I've ever seen. I am just, it's bonkers. I'm trying to pull it up right now. Oh, I don't know if I'm supposed to play it over the air.
I mean, you know.
What?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Alejandro Garnacho.
Here, pull it. Oh, you can't pull it up because I'm on Zoom. I don't know if you can pull up two things at the same time. All right. Anyway, look, man. The moral of the story is it's a bonkers goal that Garnacho scored for Man U over the weekend, I believe against Everton, if I remember correctly. Just outstanding. But also tonight on the USA Network, WWE Monday Night Raw. Griffin, I know you have a lot of thoughts about CM Punk's return to WWE. I'm sure you have a lot that you want to say about it.
It's going to bring you back to UFC, right?
No, not a chance in all hell. But there you go. That's coming up totally tubular-wise for the evening. All right, thanks today to Qadry Ismail.
Barmageddon with David Arquette. David Arquette will be on Barmageddon, of course.
Yes.
Elf is going to be on TNT at 8, if anyone's interested in that.
There we go.
And then Jeremy Allen White with Michael Irvin, Jimmy Fallon, and Meghan Trainor on Kimmel tonight on ABC following Monday.
When does the Iron Claw come out? That
comes out December 22nd. And yeah, about the Von Erichs. Zac Efron.
Yeah.
I think MJF is in it too, right? If I saw
gotten a lot of hype.
Yeah. Oh, and Rudolph, the Red-Nosed Reindeer at 8 o'clock on CBS as well.
Thank you. That's very important. All right. Thanks to Jeremy. Thanks to Qadry. We'll get it up in the greatest hits section of the.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Tomorrow, the state high school football finals are set. We will preview them. County Sports on Radio. I demanded a recount about Perry Hall, and I don't think that I got it. I'm not thrilled about that. Yeah, they lost to Mervo. It's a bummer. But we will preview the finals with Wes Brown, County Sports Zone. Of course, we'll talk about Maryland basketball. They did get a couple of wins, so there's
big win
that.
over USA.
Yeah. South. You throw out all the records when South Alabama comes to play. But we'll talk to Patrick Stevens. We'll preview Waiver Wire Wednesday and anything else.
Aaron Schatz, he will join us. He was paying close attention
Football
to
Outsiders.
the Ravens game last night.
All right, stuff and things tomorrow on the program. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including the Costas Inn, Live Casino and Hotel Maryland, of course, Royal Farms. Thanks also to, oh man, I'm sorry. Again, I don't have the sheet in front of me. I gotta remember that for when I do these shows at home, Griffin. I gotta have a backup sheet. Hopefully it'll never happen again. Mother's North Grill, AJ Michaels, Guilford Hall Brewery. Superbook Sports, Harford County, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass is how you follow him. Follow us Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Monday night. Go UMBC hoops. Go Glenn finding his keys. Duke sucks.